In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Good evening and welcome. This is Face the Nation. Our topic of discussion today is the current state of affairs in Sri Lanka. You too can join in as far as the conversation is concerned. The number to message your concerns and comments and also the questions is 076 656 5353. The number once again, 076 656 5353. I'm flanked today with Wijeweera onto my right. Onto my left is Shiharanis, independent investigative journalist. In terms of the guests tonight, we have four individuals who have come all the way. One from Munragala, Ruwan Wijeweera, Member of Parliament from the National People's Power. Kusum Wijetilleke, representing the Samag Jana Balawegaya. Mr. Kesarralal Gunasekera, former Member of Parliament. Nuwan Bopage from the People's Struggle Alliance. Let's get the ball rolling today with Ruwan Wijeweera, Member of Parliament from the National People's Power. Ruwan, nice to have you on the show for the very first time. Let's get the first question into you. When you all were appointed with a resounding mandate at the last general election with 159 votes in your favor, seats in your favor, you all didn't expect the job to be this difficult.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for inviting for me to represent National People's Power. And it's a kind of privilege to be a part of this discussion. And when I just go back to the question you asked, we knew that the task was daunting and it was challenging because it was not easy for anybody to come and take over this kind of responsibility of a nation which was deteriorating, as well as there was the so-called that 76 years curse. That's what how we interpret it. But to change that, to transform this nation into a place, brighter place, as we said in our manifesto as well. So we knew that it was challenging and it was not an easy task to be done.
During the last few months, Ruwan, if you look at the crime rate in Sri Lanka, it has been very significant.
Yeah.
We saw the manner in which how an individual in the underworld was shot dead inside the court premises.
Yeah.
And your deputy minister at that time couldn't even find where his own vehicle was.
Yeah.
So that shows the level of issues that is plaguing the country. And what efforts have you all taken in this regard? Tell me one incident of arrest. Now the lady who's been involved in that crime scene is still at large. Deshabandhu Tendakon is nowhere to be seen with regard to even after a warrant has been issued.
Yeah.
What have you all done?
Yeah, that it's quite okay. But the thing is that when those incidents happened, how, as a government, how we reacted for the situations, and you know that even in the court incident, so the way the government reacted, so we just got into the matter that the investigations were started, and the main criminal was arrested. Or the main one, right? That's true that the one was missing, but still the thing is that so we have been investigating and we have taken the necessary steps. We mean that the police, CID and the responsible institutions, they have taken the necessary required steps, and still the investigations are being done.
Yeah, but Ruwan, the question is, 7 months ago, when an incident took place in Athurugiriya involving another individual in broad daylight, involving a tattoo shop owner, our president, Kumar Desanayake, at that time said that efforts like this shows the inefficiency of the government. And he said if there is no rule of law, if the intelligence cannot operate, what is the point of having a government in play? For those who are watching this show tonight, if they have the same question, if you all couldn't stop an incident of this sort, if you all couldn't arrest the people who are responsible for an incident of this sort, what is the point of you all being in power?
Yeah, that's there were huge criticisms against how those previous governments acting.
But let's talk about your government. Now, you all have been in power for over 90 days.
Yeah, regarding the rule of law, there was a criticism, and what we have been doing when we were elected as the government. So we have been trying from the president, from the top to the bottom, we have been trying as a government to protect the rule of the law. Right, to protect the rule of the law, and we have been the thing that you need to consider is that is there any kind of involvement in the government and from the government perspective. So whether we have done any kind of the negative intervention, or that we are not going to keep the law.
Do you agree that you all have failed?
No, not at all, because the incidents can happen, right? The incidents can happen. This is not an isolated incident. Whatever that you are going to take, those are not the individual incidents, though they seem to be like that, but they are not the individual incidents. Those incidents are interconnected with various socio-political atmospheres. So then that is, we need to look into the matter as a responsible government. It is your duty to look into the matters and do the necessary investigations.
Nothing has been done. Now let's take a look at Deshabanu Tendakone's matter.
Yeah.
He is a sitting IGP of this country. Why can't the president remove him under his powers if he's absconding court, if he's not appearing on the dates that have been said, and if he's putting in motions through his lawyers? Why cannot he be arrested? Why cannot he be removed from the post of IGP? Why isn't that taking place? You all have 159 members in parliament.
Yeah, the thing is that those investigations and the kind of processes have been given to the necessary departments and the responsible people, and from the president's perspective, or else the others, we are not going to intervene in the matters, but we have given the necessary environment for the people to work independently, so that those various kinds of actions have been taken. And the thing that must be considered is that think of a situation where that is IGP is going to hide himself. That is what we need to consider. So because of so that must also be considered.
No, so I remember when you speak, Ruwan, I remember this Sinhalese idiom. It says "Yuddhara nathu kaduwa koskotannada." What is the point of having 159 members in parliament if you are not acting? Yeah. What is the point?
Yeah, that is the acting is, that so this is so no, we have acted.
Okay, right. Let's take one by one.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the incident that took place at the court complex a few weeks ago. Have you all arrested the second main suspect?
Yeah, that can be.
Okay. Right. Deshabanu Tendakone's matter. He has been issued warrants by court. Have you all been able to arrest him?
Regarding
what sort of actions have you all taken?
This is something like this, that so then you can tell about that is so the Lasantha Wickrematunga, so Tajuddin, so whatever those when you can
even Lasantha Wickrematunga's incident, the AG department's intervention on that, and then how criticism came from your government as well. You all had to summon the Attorney General's department to the Presidential Secretariat to ask him why this matter was going to be resolved like this. Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, your Prime Minister, made a statement saying this is not the way we want to move forward. So is this why people have appointed you all and given you all a resounding majority in Parliament and even elected a very, very strong president? What have you all done?
That is.
Let's not talk about the previous governments, because that is why you all have been appointed to power now. No point of talking about Wasim Tajuddin, no point of talking about Lasantha Wickrematunga, no point of talking about Keith Noyer, no point of talking about all these matters. That is why you all have got 159 members of parliament. Never in the history of the Sri Lankan history it has happened. So tell me, what have you all done in the last 100 days? What have you all done?
Yeah, that is that is what I have been telling you.
No, I'm asking you about these incidents. Let's be very specific on these incidents. What have you all done?
So that is what I'm telling you. So the investigations has to be done. has to be done by the police, CID, and those responsible organizations.
When is it going to finish?
So it up to them. It's up to them, because you know that those investigations. You know that as far as the court case is considered, or the other cases, even the day before yesterday incident. So those incidents, those crimes must be investigated, and the evidences must be taken.
Ruwan, I'll tell you a classic example. Yeah. Just prior to President Anukumar Dissanayake being appointed president, he said that Arjun Mahendran would be brought to the country within 24 hours. Yeah. Now, recently we saw the manner in which how the Singapore government has very clearly said that he cannot be extradited. So, didn't you all know about all this before coming into power? Didn't you all know the laws surrounding this? You were a principal of a leading school in Monaragala. How would you look at things like this? Is it acceptable? It's like you all have accepted something that you all cannot fulfill.
No, that this, you know, that we told the people that this would be done, this should be done, and we were expecting these things to be done, as well as, you know, that when we tell those things, when we tell those things, we knew that. So if the Singapore government, was ready to send Arjun Mahendran to Sri Lanka, this would have been okay. But the thing is that sometimes there are laws, and that we have to be adhered to the laws and all. But the thing is that what you have asked about, have you done something? Really, we have done. Again, what I have to tell you is that, so this is not only about the political leadership in the country. This is interconnected with the bureaucratic relationships and the diplomacy and various things, and the people.
Right. Thanks, Ruwan Wijeweera, Member of Parliament from the National People's Power. I now move my attention towards Kusum Wijetilleke from the SJB. Kusum, any plans of contesting the upcoming local government elections?
Me personally?
Yes, you personally.
No plans as yet.
No plans as yet. You're scared that you will lose?
I think the SJB is in a strong position to at least come second.
At least come second? So you all have already...
When the NPP has 160 MPs, I think it's difficult for me to come here and say that we are going to win.
But
we'll give a good fight. Let's see.
But Kusum,
there's still 2 months to go, and a few more shows like this, and the NPP government might come crashing down.
Kusum, just imagine when you go to fight a battle or a war, you should go with the mindset of winning that battle. Yeah. Now let's take a look at the SJB's actions after the presidential elections last year. You all almost got defeated, I could say, because if you look at the composition of the vote at that time, there were 5.2 million votes in favor of the opposition, and Anukumar Dissanayake was only able to get 4.5 million votes. So if the opposition came in strong at that time, then you all could have made a significant or an indelible mark with regard to the general election. But you all accepted defeat even at that time. Your leader, Sajid Premdasa, was not attending meetings after the presidential election was held. It seemed that you all have already accepted defeat. As a result of that, you all have been restricted to a meager number in parliament also. Now, even now, when I'm asking you a question as to whether you all are ready for the upcoming local government elections, you being a strong and a staunch supporter of the SJB, and you are coming here and saying, we will come in second. What is the point of coming in second? If I ask the same question from Nuwan, he might say, we will give a good fight. Why is it that the SJB is with a losing mentality always? Is it because of the leadership?
I think the leader attended quite a few meetings, even in the aftermath of the president's election defeat. And the leader of the party also...
Tell me how many meetings he attended.
I'm not counting the meetings.
I can tell you.
In terms of the election itself, I think you may have noticed that he got the highest number of votes. So he's still the best vote getter in the party. So I think, okay, you have criticism of the leader and in our party from Colombo.
In your party?
Yeah. So within our party only we have to talk, right? So if you have any other names that you think might be better, who could get more votes, who have a record of getting votes in a national election, I mean, let me know. But I don't think there are any such names. If there are, they should come forward and put themselves in the election runoff, because you can't win it if you're not in it, right? That's the thing. Now, in terms of...
why a defeated mentality?
I don't think it's a defeated mentality. I think after your first question, I was taking it a bit light and just saying, it's a tough fight.
Right.
But I think in certain wards, in certain parts of the country, we'll do quite well.
In a strong second.
I think we'll do a strong second, definitely, yes.
So that means whoever is elected
I think, look, there is a wave in the country. I think even though...
If someone is appointed as a mayoral candidate from your party, you all know he's going to be defeated, and as a result of that, the NPP is going to be victorious in Colombo.
We don't know that.
But you just said strong second.
Well, I was joking, but it could be. You never know.
So who's going to be your candidate?
I'm sorry, I can't mention anything on that because it's not finalized by the party as yet.
But Hirudika Premachandra, addressing the media, said that you all are thinking of Iran Wickramaratne to be the mayoral candidate of the SJB from Colombo.
Can you name a better candidate?
I'm asking you.
I mean, I think Iran Wickramaratne is a very strong candidate. I can't actually, off the top of my head, think of a more qualified candidate for the mayor of Colombo. I don't think there's many former members of parliament from the previous parliament that have accomplished as much as Mr. Iran Wickramaratne has in his career. There's not a single person who can claim to have been a CEO of a large bank in parliament. If you can tell me in the last 25 years, if you can name me anybody, I don't think so. So he's clearly the most accomplished professional. He has a good record in parliament. Now, the question of votes is a different matter, right? We know the Sri Lankan electorate, it's hard to judge. And we know there's a wave, there was a wave last year. We don't know how it's going. I know that in the media, myself, I'm a critic of the current government, but we don't know how the people feel. I think personally, Shamir, and I've made this point on your show, that Sri Lanka in 2022, 2023, 2024, we were in a desperate situation. We had radical problems and we needed radical solutions. Now, what we have right now from the NPP is kind of more of the same. And I think your first question to the Member of Parliament here addressed some of those things where I don't see a paradigm shift in how things are done.
We'll get back to that momentarily, Kusum, because we have approximately 2 hours. When we pose questions to you on the second round, we can delve a little bit deeper into that. But I just want to understand, you asked me a question as to, is there anyone in your party who can lead the party at this very moment of time? If you look at individual names, like Harsha De Silva's name has come into the forefront a lot. And even during the Aragalaya time, Harin Fernando went on to say that if Harsha De Silva is being looked at as a possible prime ministerial candidate, he could steer the party or steer the country towards a better footing. But it seems that the SJB is trying to sideline individuals of this sort. Why we saw the manner in which, when the Colombo electorate organized the post was given, even Harsha was quite disgruntled with that post not being given to him. It was held by the leader of your party, Sajid Premadasa. So it seems that even party politics has really hampered for individual characters to come up.
Dr. Harsha De Silva has been touted as being the next finance minister if there's an SJB government. I think Mr. Premadasa said that even after, I mean, of course, we have to get the votes, but that's a different story. To say he's sidelined is a bit difficult because he was one of the central figures in our economic policy, and our country's main issue is the... He could be the Prime Minister.
Why is he being restricted to the post
Why do you say he's being restricted?
You just said Finance Minister. I didn't even know this
I think that's a great... Because that's something that's been said in the media. Mr. Premadasa has mentioned many times that if there's an SJB government, there's only 2 positions he's ever said. He said Defence Minister would have been South Fonseca if things had gone right in the party. It didn't. But the one thing he has been consistent about is Dr. Harsha De Silva will be the finance minister.
Why do you all think that the same fate
and on the point of him being the lead, I think that's a very good... It's a very good...
What happened with South Fonseca as well.
It's a very good option for Dr. Harsha De Silva to be a lead of the party as well. It's a very good option for Mr. Iran Wickramaratne to be leader of the party as well. And I think Mr. Sajid Premadasa still remains a pretty strong leader of the party. And we are blessed to have quite a few figures who could be leaders of a party. Whereas when you look at the NPP, we have one person who is extremely popular, the president. He holds the defense ministry, he holds the finance ministry, I think he holds a few other ministries. So the SJB is not a one-man show. It's never been a one-man show. I think if you hear people like Hirudika Premachandra, whoever saying things in the media, it's because we have a little bit of internal democracy in the party. It's because I can say something, I can criticize some members of the SJB if I wanted to. I'm not going to get a call from the leader the next day. I can't say the same of all the other parties.
Tell me, Kusum, what is the role of the chief opposition whip in Parliament?
The chief opposition whip in parliament is there to whip up the votes, right, for the opposition.
To
whip up the votes for the opposition.
in terms of acts and in terms of... But what has your opposition whip been doing in parliament for the last 90 days?
Yeah, you know, Shamir, I made this point recently in an interview as well. I'm not best pleased with some of the parliamentary proceedings from the SJB, more generally as well. I have to say the leader of the party and a few others have made strong submissions in parliament, especially regarding the budget. Overall, I will accept that it's been a bit of a lackluster showing in parliament.
Right.
So no argument from me there.
Thanks a lot, Kusum Wijetilleke, representing the SJB. I now move my attention towards Mr. Kesarralal, Gunasekera, former member of parliament, represented the SLFP for some time, now no more. Am I right, Mr. Gunasekera?
You're always right.
Mr. Gunasekera, you've always come on this show. I've had you a couple of times during the last 3 months, and you've always said that time has to be given for the NPP to perform. But for those who are watching this show tonight and is not that happy with the way in which things have progressed with regard to the crime rate, with regard to what is happening. Now, I'll tell you a classic example. With regard to taking over President Mahinda Rajapaksa's residence, that could be done overnight by the NPP. They just have to bring in a new bill, and the 1986 or 87 Privileges Act for former presidents could be repealed and made it annulled, and a new bill could be brought in. As a result of that, all these former presidents won't be able to enjoy their privileges. So all these things can be done. But NPP is not doing anything progressive in this respect yet. Why is that?
If that is the case, you're going after individuals. I don't think they'll resort to things of that nature. It's very strange that the former president does not understand that he has done something wrong and he needs to correct himself. But he's not willing to do so, so can't have. That's the way things go.
But you have 159 members in parliament, over 2/3. You can't...
No, you must ensure that whatever you do, it should not be seen as a witch hunt. It should not be seen as a witch hunt.
Then why, if it's not a witch hunt, why would lists be out every fortnight? We saw a list of individuals who lost their houses during the Aragalaya being have come to the limelight. Those who have used the president's fund has come to the limelight. Well, I'm not done yet, Mr. Gunasekera. Presidents former presidents who are using public property has come to the limelight. Then former presidents' travels have come to the limelight. All these things coming to the limelight is well and good. But why isn't action being taken in these respects?
All those are illegal actions.
So why isn't action being taken? Why can't you indict former presidents who have used so much of money? Why isn't former presidents asked to leave their houses? Why isn't the money that has been swindled off during the Aragalaya to build houses, why aren't those individuals being brought to justice? Nothing has been done. It's only talk.
No, they will follow a procedure. They will follow a process.
When?
I feel that they have to do that because when I listen to most of the stories with regard to the houses, in fact, I always agree that anybody losing a house, he has to be compensated. But you do it in the correct manner. You don't do it in an illegal manner. What has happened is an illegal process. So naturally, those things will have to be reversed.
So what do you mean to say? Now there's an election that's coming up a few weeks from now. Who is holding a better position? It seems that Kusum has already accepted defeat for the SJB. So do you think that the NPP will record yet another resounding victory at the next elections?
They should.
They should.
We must ensure they get it as well. That's the way forward for this country. That's the way forward for this country. Because you know, all these things that you spoke about, the question you asked him, is the culture that has been established for a long, long period. Those things need to be changed. Why do you have murders of this nature taking place? The culture that was established, it was promoted by politicians, by political parties. those things need to be changed. But change will take time.
Now, let's take a look at governance, Mr. Gunasekera. You know this better than I do. You know how important politics play a role when you govern and hold positions of the presidency, prime minister, may now be the mayoral candidate, for an example, someone with experience. Now, we know the NPP candidate who is contesting the upcoming elections for Colombo. We know somewhat, at least Kusum is giving us somewhat of a hint that Iran Vikramatne is going to be the mayoral candidate from Colombo. It has always been a point not about individuals but about policy and direction. Who would be a better candidate?
Individual also is to a certain extent.
Right, so who would be a better candidate in your opinion? You know that Rai is going to contest Colombo as a mayoral candidate. Kusum somewhat gave us a hint that Iran Vikramatne is the best suited for the job.
That was Nika, by the way, not myself.
Right, okay, whatever. But who do you think? Who do you think?
It's not correct for me to mention names, because then in that case I'll be siding with parties.
But you always side with parties, Mr. Gunasekera.
I side with what is right.
So what is right in your opinion now? What is right in your opinion now?
I answered the question. I said, look here, I feel that the NPP should come on top at this election. That's the way forward. That I say.
Right.
That I agree.
Right. Mr. Gunasekera, for those who are somewhat upset the way in which things have moved forward, now the NPP said about the IMF, they said that they will take a step back. We had individuals in the caliber of Chaturanga Abhisinha, we had Lakmali Hemachandra on this very show saying about the pay tax is going to go up to 200,000, but it only went up to 150,000, and now the threshold has changed. They said from 500,000 to 750,000, there will be a variation in terms of the taxation. Nothing of this sort has happened. It seems we are going in the footsteps of the IMF. We saw the manner in which even the IMF head had applauded President Andrukumar Dissanayake for his steps. Does that mean that we are going in the footsteps or going behind the IMF even now?
You have to understand as to where this country was. I mean, you go through a process where we went into bankruptcy. Don't forget that bankruptcy is a very serious situation, very serious situation. And we have recovered and you're moving forward.
But that cannot be put into the account of the NPP.
Pardon?
That cannot be put into the account of the NPP.
I didn't say to put it into the account of the NPP, but recovery is a...
That has to be given somewhat, Ranil Wickremesinghe has to be given some credit.
Yeah. I totally agree, but the only thing is, you got to understand, some of the statements that were made was wrong, because if somebody asked me privately as to whether that was the issue by bankruptcy alone, no. I feel once you put a halt to the imports, you save foreign exchange, and therefore you are able to manage the urgent requirements, the medicaments, the oil, the gas, etc. That is how it worked. If at all I give credit,
that's all right.
Let me finish.
The import ban came in 2020.
No, let me finish.
Not 2022. You're wrong.
I feel, of course.
Then things would have been better by 2020.
No, it was discouraged.
Bankruptcy in 2020.
No, it was discouraged. Let me put. If at all I give credit to the central bank governor, because
governor of the central bank.
No, he managed to some degree. We have to understand that he was strong, and he managed, and therefore we were able to save foreign exchange, which was urgent required.
Okay.
What Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe certainly put it on the correct track. That's correct. That I agree.
Right. Thanks. I now move my attention towards Nuwan Bopage from the People's Struggle Alliance. Nuwan, you're very resilient, I must tell you. Every single time we have a show, the People's Struggle Alliance don't shy away, Niresh. Why is that? What drives you even after so much of defeats, Nuwan? The last person that I expect to come on the show is from your party. Why is it that even after so many defeats, that you all are coming on top in terms of your policies, your way forward, or whatever that is? If you are to give some advice to the SJB, what would that advice be?
How can I differentiate that? Actually, defeat in the sense the election or number of votes. We don't believe it as a victory or defeat. What we believe, what we can win for the sake of people. So especially our party is a party based on forces. Even we have a parliamentary seats or other seats, irrespective of that, from the very history, we have been fighting for the people. And actually, when we think about outside of the parliament or outside of these common establishments, we believe we are the most powerful movement. When you go to the student movement, the workers movement, women movement, so all these movements are concerned, we have very strong power. So using that power, we always fighting to get the things done, whoever comes to the power. Previously, the SJB was in the power, UMP was in the power, then Rajapakshas were in the power, now NPP is the power. But all these parties, on the face of it, it's very clear, they have following the same economic path. They are following, democracy is concerned, there are a lot of similarities, all these ruling parties. So in that scenario, I think as a party which based on forces, we have been always fighting to get the victories for the sake of people. So therefore we believe defeat of election is not a thing that we are giving much more prominence. What we are doing, we are still organizing people, mobilizing people for the sake of their get the rights for their benefits.
Yeah, let's talk about the upcoming local government elections. In terms of the People's Struggle lands, have you all thought of candidates who are going to contest?
Yeah, we are contesting for this election. Yeah.
How many?
We believe we can contest for around 150 local authorities.
Local authority. Out of which have you all decided as to who will be from Colombo, Kotte, at least the Western Province? Have you all thought about who would be taking the post of mayoral candidates?
Up to now, we have not nominated, but we are now in the process of preparing nomination lists. Based on that, we can nominate in future.
All right. So, Nuwan, we've always spoken about, and you have somewhat accepted that you all have to change the way in which you all look at the country as a whole. We've had this discussion on many a times that the way in which how the JVP at one point, now the NPP has somewhat changed their policies, looked at things newly as far as the country's economy is concerned, somewhat not a far left thinking or not a center left, but somewhat a liberal thought has really made them win elections. Have you all thought about this notion when it comes to your policies and agenda, even at the next local government election, if you all have to make an indelible mark as far as the elections are concerned, at least to win a few seats?
Yeah, thing is the winning election is just like actually now, if our main target is to win election or seats, sometimes we might have to change our policies. That's what happened to NPP and JVP as well. So their main focus was to somehow win the election. In order to do that, actually they have deviated from their left-oriented policies, and they their policy statement is concerned, it's a neoliberal, liberal policy. So they have changed their policies in order to win elections. So I am not blaming on them. So as a result of that, they were able to win the election. So, but our party is different. What we think, we are believing socialism. So in order to go to that target, we are mobilizing the people. So it's not an easy target. It's not a target. It's not a part which going over red carpets. It's a very difficult part. But in order to do that, we have to inculcate certain things towards
have you
the people.
started that journey?
We have already started. So we are only now 10 years old, our party. During that period, I think you also witnessed, even when there is a privatization of education, if there is a draconian laws, whatever these detrimental things to the people, we only came forward and fought for that. Even during the Aragaleya, so even the NPP politicians made a statement, this Aragala is ineffective, you should not go there. Even that, by that juncture, we believe, no, this is the path, this is the best path to somehow defeat this Rajapaksa regime, and we gave the leadership to that. So right, like we are standing for right thing, especially our main prominence, main concern, as to how get victories for the people.
Right. Now, if you look at the frontline socialist party's actions over the last 10 years that you are talking about, we've seen whenever there has been an injustice, you all have come to the streets, protested, all that. Now, we have not seen you all doing that in the last 100 days as efficiently and effectively that we have seen before. Why is that? Is that you all giving some time for the NPP government to settle in, or what is the thinking?
No, actually, now during last 3 months, if we have clearly analyzed during past 3 months, there are 3 segments in the society. So NPP, they think what they told to the society, we are still very infant government, so let us to move forward to change this. So there are certain segments says, of course, we should give time to this NPP, move forward and change things. But we are not, for a moment, we are not believing that we should unnecessarily give time to them. We have to wait until they...
Which segment do you all fall?
What we are saying, even from the very beginning, now what is the recent step they have taken? The budget. So we actually, as far as the people of this country is concerned, there is nothing as a budget, because whatever written and gave by the IMF and the central bank governor, that has been read out by the president. I think Mr. Ruwan is coming from a very rural area. So in their main policy statement, manifesto, they have said they are bringing VAT to the 0 rate, the essential food, medicine, school items, etc. So that they were unable to do that. Why? Because of IMF. Now our concern is, now he is coming from rural area. Now there are 159 members of the parliament. Whether this president at least call them and shown this is our budget, and is it okay to bring it to the parliament? No, that has not been happened. So I am not blaming, but I am saying nothing has been changed in society. Even the economy is concerned, nothing has been changed. Democracy is concerned, nothing has been. In a situation like that, as a political party, consistently we are fighting. What I want to tell, even the budget is concerned, just before the budget, we wrote to the NPP, please change this, please change the IMF policies and bring alternative DSA policy. So why? That's why, because from the very beginning, of course, as you said, we are trying to somehow bring this NPP government to the correct path, failing which we are
Thanks
always ready to fight.
Thanks a lot, Nuwan. I want to open the floor for questions. Nilesh, you and Shihar can barge in, but I want to ask one question that came as a follow-up to what Nuwan said. Now, before the budget was presented to Parliament, Ruwan, were you all summoned by the President or someone in the NPP, and were you all told to give your thoughts? Were you all communicated with what the budget is going to be like? Or was it a complete surprise even to you all?
No, that's total wrong actually, because not only before the budget, but also from the inception of the government, right, very beginning of the government. So every time, every week, we were summoned to the president, and we all are given necessary instructions how the government was run, and the things happened in the week before we were summoned there, and whether there was
that is regarding the parliamentary actually we've had parliamentarians coming on the show representing the NPP, and they have said that they are notified every week about what the parliamentary proceedings are like and what should be taken up and who will be talking, all that. That's not the question that I'm asking you. I'm asking you very specifically with regard to the budget. When the budget speech was announced by President Anukumar Dissanayake, were you, as a member from a rural electorate in Sri Lanka, from Monaragala, were you aware as to what the contents of the budget was or else at least with regard to what sort of help would the rural masses of this country be done? What sort of action would be taken for them? Was that discussed?
Yeah, that means that you know that it's quite impossible to get everyone's ideas. 159
So it didn't
members.
happen. So it didn't happen.
It happened in the sense it happened. You know that so as far as the agricultural ministry is concerned, some of the ideas were taken from district wise and the kind of
Right. So I'm just going to narrow it down.
Yeah.
So tell me what of one recommendation that you proposed is there on the budget? One recommendation. I don't want too many. Tell me one recommendation that Ruwan Wijeweera, Member of Parliament from the National People's Power, told the government in your meetings, and tell me whether that was there in the 1.5 hour speech of President Anukumar Dissanayake in Parliament.
Yeah, that you know that
It was not there.
no. That's it means that just from these are my ideas. Kind of ideas may not be there, but the things that we have been fighting for, that is how the education of the rural areas should be developed, and how the farming of rural areas should be developed.
How much was from the GDP that was allocated for the education sector?
GDP for the education sector.
Less than
Exactly, I'm not sure, but I'll let you know. But that 619
yeah,
billion.
but don't you think, Ruwan, this is a very problem.
Yeah.
That all 159 members of the NPP are not aware of the direction in which the government is acting, and it's only a few handful of people who's operating. Now, this is one of the allegations leveled at the NPP.
Yes.
So, don't you think this is the problem? Because if you look at it, from the entire GDP, it's less than 1.5% that has been allocated for education.
Sure. Yeah.
And you being a member of parliament should know this more than us as journalists.
Yeah. Yeah,
And you were a school
number.
principal.
No, exact number. I did not know that exact number, but it was just around.
But you all have been fighting for over 3%.
Yeah,
from the GDP,
over
6%, no?
Yeah,
over
6%. That was the common idea. Is in the.
So when you are appointed to power, you all have kept that aside.
No. So we are fighting for that, but you know that in an economy that we must understand where we are. Right, in this kind of economy, which is just some kind of adherence must be needed for the IMF. We can't anybody. Do you think that?
So this is an IMF budget?
Huh?
Is this an IMF budget?
This is.
Is this an IMF budget?
Not, but some connections are there, some ideas are there, some guidelines are there. You can't never, whoever the person comes to the president in Sri Lanka has to.
So I will tell you a classic example now. President Anukumar Dissanayake had a meeting with rice mill owners.
Yeah.
And before being appointed president, he said, "Mama me prashna okkama eka pan paharan visadana."
Yeah.
Then visadila tiyena. Now, is there kiri samba in the market?
Yeah, the thing is that those are the processes, right? That is the way something that we presented in the political propaganda.
So does that mean that you all have failed?
No, not fail. So how many things we have done? How many things we have done? How many?
Right.
How many?
Let's talk about. Okay, let's leave aside what you all couldn't do. Let's talk about what you all have done.
Yeah.
Tell me 5 things you all have done in the last 3 months that has made an impact in the public lives of Sri Lanka.
Yeah. That is
Tell me 5 things.
Right. So
yeah,
the
first one is
one very first and the foremost thing is the changing the political culture from the political the leaders' perspective. So that is what we have done. That is what we have promised to the people.
Okay,
and
number
people.
1. Number 2.
Right. So another that is depending on that is all those things are interconnected with that change in the political culture. So depending on that, so we have given health and education. So more than 1,200 billions. 1,200 billions. That is an amount, unprecedented amount has been given. For the education and health, and said that is another thing
less
that
than
we
1.5%. less than 1.5% of education.
That's how that you have to understand. Can you give 3% from this kind of economy, right? Which was recently
Ruwan,
considered as the bankrupt.
Now, Ruwan, this is your manifesto.
Sure.
Pohosat Ratak Lasthana Jeevithak.
Yeah.
If you look at this, you all can implement, right? You all can implement more than 15 things that you all have promised in this book, in this manifesto to the public.
Yeah.
Aren't you all going in the same footsteps of political parties in this country who brings in a manifesto, can't implement the manifesto? As a result of that, you all do what you all want to do, and deceiving the public and holding the public ransom every single time there's an election. Now you're saying about political culture. You all can't say that. Your president has been in parliament since the year 2000. He was a nationalist member of parliament.
Yeah.
He has been in parliament in Sri Lanka for the last 25 years out of the 76 years that you're talking about. The JP has been in power, has had a parliament since 1994.
Sure.
So how can you all say that you are not part of this political culture? You all are also part of this political culture.
But not in power. So
you all were in power between 2005 to 2007 in that government.
Handled and led by the various kinds of people.
Your current president, our current president was the Minister of Irrigation and Agriculture.
Yeah, so we were, and that is what when the things were not going in the way we expected, that is what we left the government and they came out of the government, because that is the things were not going in the way we expected, in the way we promised to the people. So that is why the president left that government. So I don't think that so we have and another one thing. So that is the manifesto. Manifesto has been given for 5 years. Mandate has been given for 5 years, not just for the 1 year. So you can't expect everything to be done by
we thought you all were different.
The first one.
We thought you all were different.
Yeah, we were different, completely different. So that is what we have been showing in the parliament as well as in the outside. That is, so we have been trying and we have been working to create a different political culture. But with the interconnected things and almost all the things, it's not easy. It's a daunting task. But we are very sure. We are very sure that we will be able to. So most of the things. Not almost all the things, but most of the things in the manifesto will be.
I have one question. Just give me a second. I have to ask this question. Now, one of your deputy ministers said that you all want to collect data with regard to monkeys in the country, and it has to be done in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
In every household, if that 5 minutes is not calculated, and if you all don't do it, then the monkey will go to the other house. So then that person will be collecting data in that house as well. Just to tell us what was that about? Now this monkey business,
right? So
about collecting data, statistics about monkeys.
There is a wildlife, the department in Sri Lanka, and that is ministries are there, and various kinds of institutions are there regarding the wildlife. So for all these years, have they got some census about what kind of animals are there, what kind of the amount of animals?
Now take Monragal for an example. Yeah. How is this census going to happen? Tell me.
Yeah, that is. No,
you be honest and tell me.
Yeah, that is.
How is it going to happen? Now let's take your house for an example. I'm also in Monragal. Niresh is also in Monragal. Shrihar is also in Monragal. Nuwan, Mr. Gunasekera, Kusum, all of us are in Monragal.
Right.
You give me instructions how to do a census with monkeys. Tell
right,
me.
Mr. Amir, that you may see that.
No, I don't know.
You may see. Most of the people may see that as some kind of thing. That is what kind of this is not. This should not happen in the way that.
No, I live in Malabya. Now, for me, I see monkeys a lot, but I can't be staying until a monkey comes to collect the census.
No, that 5 minutes. 5 minutes will be given. Right? Let's say 9 to 9:05.
But let's be practical.
That is what.
Is this the mandate you all have got?
No. That is only one thing. That is not the main thing, Mr. Shamir. So how many things to be considered, and about the budgeting and the allocation of money, public finance, and how many things are there to be considered in a country.
So this is only one thing. You're saying up to date.
Yeah.
There is no census by the wildlife department in Sri Lanka as to how many monkeys density in the country.
We do not have. We do not have. That is today. That is the Minister of Agriculture. He clearly mentioned that. So we do not have those.
Is this how census is gathered in other countries also, telling people to wait for 5 minutes and gather the data?
This has been done. This has been done. I'm not pretty sure about the country and the things, but I also inquired from some of the
you also
people
surprised?
Who knows,
You all surprised how this is being done?
Not surprised, but this is what the minister said. Minister said.
Deputy Minister.
So this minister. Minister said that it should be started somewhere. Right, this will be failed, right? So that is aeroplane was not invented for the first time, right? It was experimented. So this is not, the criticism should not come in the first sense, right? It should be tried. Then later on we can check whether this is okay, all right, or there may be errors sometimes, but it has to be started. And when if it is wrong and if it is not in our way, but then we can decide that that is not a practical thing or something. But I still believe that something can be done. In this regard. But
right. Can I address a question to Nuwan Bopage? Now, local government elections are coming up. The cost of living was the major factor in the last two elections. You can talk about corruption and all those things, but it was the cost of living which became unbearable for the people, which turned the tide. However, maybe it's early days, but we haven't seen much of a lessening of that cost of living. Of course, it's not easy to bring down the cost of living in any country. What about the People's Struggle Alliance? What would your thoughts be, your ideas to bring down the cost of living? Now, I'm not talking about the inflation rate.
Exactly.
It's the actual cost of living.
Exactly. So, in fact, even before the budget proposals, we have wrote to the government as to how we could reduce the cost of living. Because one of the main reasons, the tax mechanism in Sri Lanka, because even in our manifesto we have suggested to bring it to 50% because direct tax, of course, only 15% out of the income of the government. We actually propose to increase it up to 50%. Through that, we can increase the fiscal of the strength of the country. Then thereafter, from that point, we can start to give relief to the people. The second thing is this IMF thing. Now, I think Ruwan knows, according to their own manifesto, they actually promised people to bring an alternative DSA. At the same time, to negotiate with IMF regarding these IMF conditions. At the very beginning, they wanted to do that with the IMF. But even in this budget, they were unable.
Bringing that alternative DSA, that was after. If you remember, Nuwan, exactly 2 or 3 days prior that the DSA agreement was reached during Ranil Wickremesinghe's time.
2 days prior to the election.
2 days prior. So they didn't have an option there. So in their defense, they did not have an option.
No.
They had to stick with that DSA.
That's right. So even after the president, sworn as the president, there were few discussions with IMF. Actually, government wanted to do that. But IMF was strictly warned that we have to stick by the conditions, and therefore they were reluctant to do that. Then government actually bowed down in front of IMF. Now, actually, what Niresh asked, as the cost of living is concerned, the main issue is this taxation, because they increased VAT from 15% to 18%. So that is the main thing that escalated the cost of living. So even in their manifesto, as I read earlier, they promised to do that. Especially the Ruwan knows how people are suffering in that area, like especially in Monaragal area. But the government in this budget, they were unable to do that. The other things, the withholding tax. Withholding tax, they increased from 5% to 10%. So senior citizens are concerned, actually they are mainly living upon the
withholding
interest.
tax is 5%. It's not 10%.
No,
in the budget also, no, it has been made mandatory.
Yes, it has
it's
been
not
increased
10%.
up. No,
it has not.
It's admitted fact. They have proposed to increase it to 5% to 10%. What happened was, as a result of that, senior citizens.
That's wrong.
No, it's a budget proposal.
Withholding tax
Yes.
on interest will be made 5% right throughout. It's not 10%.
Yeah, now it is 5%.
Yeah, it's 5%.
Yeah, it has been increased up to 10%.
It has been.
It has been increased.
Okay.
Now,
It was
as a
not in the
result,
budget, but
before that, in December,
No,
prior to the budget.
Won't that negate what is being implemented through the budget 2025?
No, it's still there. Okay. So, as a result of that, senior citizens,
I stand corrected.
senior citizens actually they are living out of this, especially the interest form. Now, cost of living is concerned. Now they are suffering a lot because earlier, if they get 19,000 out of 1.5 million deposit, now they get only 900,000.
No, but they said no. If your income is over 150,000, then this 10% won't come into play. You can go and show the bank the documentation as to you don't have any alternative income as a
that
result
is income
of that.
tax. No,
That is
that,
income tax.
that is income
withholding
tax.
tax. Withholding tax.
No, it has no nexus to this. That is for income
Nuwan,
tax.
I think, let me correct it. I mean, the way forward will be, you can basically
earn up to 150,000 a month.
If your monthly income is more than 150,000, then you are liable to pay tax.
That is income tax.
Withholding tax also.
That
Withholding tax also.
you can basically deduct the withholding tax from that.
But
That's
yes,
the
yes,
way.
but the majority.
The issue is, I'll tell you,
yes,
the issue is you don't have a mechanism there.
exactly.
So
As
the
how to-
government had to come up with a mechanism.
But I am telling about the majority of the senior citizens. They don't have 1 billion, 2 billion deposits. They have 5 million,
No, that's true.
3 million.
That's what I'm saying.
Out of which now they have to pay 10%.
When they come up with the mechanism, that will be returned to them.
No, that's the problem. That's the problem. Now, what happened previously, they got 15% interest for their deposits. It has been reduced up to 5%. At the same time, new tax was imposed up to 10% for their deposits. As a result of that, when we take the holistic thing, as a result of that, their benefit out of that interest was reduced. So therefore, the cost of living is concerned, that segment is suffering a lot. And because of the VAT increment, majority of the society is suffering a lot. Now, as Niresh pointed out, first of all, this tax mechanism has to be modified. It should be proper tax mechanism, especially the direct tax is concerned, but they were unable to do that in this budget. So without doing so, people can't expect any relief from this budget. So at the same time, there are various other things, especially now there are unpaid taxes by lot of billionaires in this country. It has been calculated 1.8 billion rupees. There's no mechanism to recover that amount.
It should be 1.8 trillion.
Trillion.
Not 1.8 billion. Should be trillion.
It's trillion. I'm telling dollars.
Yeah. Okay, 1.8.
Then at the same time, there are tax concessions given by certain BOI companies and other companies. So because of that tax concession, the government lost a lot of income. So if they can recover these unpaid taxes, and at the same time, if there is a mechanism to remove this certain concession, then once again, you can increase the income of the government. If these steps have been taken, we are not asking miracles, as we are totally with Ruwan, we are not asking miracles. But within this 6-month or 5-month period, at least if they can take these kind of steps, that benefits could be given to the people. But they were unable to do that. Can
I ask the same question of our SJB representative, Kusum? Apart from what Nuwan has mentioned, would you agree with him and would you have any other?
I think there's a slight misconception here I'd like to correct, okay? The NPP is not restricted by the IMF. The IMF has given us targets, fiscal targets, debt service cover targets. How you achieve that is up to you. First of all, there is nothing restricting us from increasing our tax revenue above this 15% tax to GDP that the IMF has given us. I have argued this in print and on TV. 15% tax to GDP is the minimum that a country of our size can afford to run with, right? Now, just take what he said in a way is true. The problem is not whether withholding tax is 5 or 10. The problem is that we have a huge informal sector that works on cash. None of that comes into the banking system. The other problem is the tax breaks. We saw something like 950 billion rupees in foregone taxes from corporates and BOI companies in the last 21 months, 950 billion rupees. We are 3 years, or let's say 2.5 years into a revenue-based fiscal consolidation, and our corporate tax to GDP last year was 2%. For the 10 years prior, it was 1.5% of GDP on average of the last 10 years. So this doesn't suggest that any government, whether the previous government or the government before, has actually attacked this revenue problem. Right now also, why is, you said, I also think it is wrong. The education, according to Anishan Kapilan of Verite, which was on your channel, education expenditure is 0.9% of GDP and health is 1.5% of GDP. This is a practical disaster. Why can't you spend? Because you don't have fiscal space. Why don't you have fiscal space? Because you're not willing to raise the revenues. And take a look at the tax structure. In this tax structure, I complained about Ranil Wickremesinghe's tax structure, where I said if you earn 300,000, you get a certain tax rate, late 20s. If you earn 3 million rupees, you get mid 30s. There are people who make 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 million rupees a month, and they're all taxed at the same rate. That's not a progressive tax structure. You can't have the majority of your taxes coming from indirect taxes and say this is a progressive government.
But
none of these things
taxes have to be equitable right throughout.
Taxes have to be equitable, but the law of taxation, according to Adam Smith, who is the father of economics, is progressive taxation. That means pay according to your means. That means the higher you are on the income scale, the higher rate of taxation should be. This is not a new concept.
You suggest Kusum now, if you all were in power.
I was going to come to that. So
if you all were in power, how would this 15% be?
So the first thing is the corporate sector incident, because I'm from the corporate sector. The corporate sector pays tax. Sheet rate says 36%. Go to the CSC website, check the financials of any random company. I checked a few. Haley's, the group company, is doing quite well. They pay roughly 30 to 35%. A lot of other companies just pick at random and calculate in their income statement the PBT, the PAT value and the tax value. You can see what the percentage is. All of them are paying in the 20s, right? That's because there are lots of tax breaks, tax holidays, rebates, those kinds of things. You have to cut those out because it's not about an opinion, right? I'm telling you that across the world, low, middle income and middle income countries have an average of 2.5, 3% tax to GDP, the most successful countries. Our country's problem right throughout, since 2015, that's according to the IMF, I think it's been before that, but the IMF in 2015
so what do you suggest
so if your corporate taxes have to improve. You have corporate tax rates have to improve. It's not the rate, but you have to improve the collection and the administration of the taxes.
What do you mean by improve? Does that mean, are you trying to say it has to increase?
Yes, you have to reduce the tax loopholes.
How much are you suggesting?
Like I said, it doesn't matter what the individual company pays or the rate. Overall, I'm saying the tax to GDP in this country, corporate tax to GDP has to be 2.5 to 3% minimum for the next 5-6 years. And ideally, what FDR did in the 1950s, FDR is from a very rich family, an aristocratic family. He came in at the height of a depression. What did he do? He called up the richest people in the country, got them to the White House, sat them down and said, look, I'm here to tell you, I'm here to give you a message. If you take it from me, we have a chance of going forward. If you don't take it from me, it's going to be people with pitchforks. And they got people to start paying progressive marginal income tax rates of 60, 70, 80% on their highest income.
Yeah, but when Basil Rajapaksa did this in 2020 in his budget speech, you all were the same people who criticized it.
Never. Basil Rajapaksa never suggested for anything above 36%. I'm not saying that now. Let me also clarify something.
When he called up and wanted X number of companies who were earning over 1 billion rupees.
That was Ravi Karunanaik who actually brought that.
That was in
super tax, 2015. Yeah, that was actually a progressive thing to do.
But same thing was applied by Basil Rajapaksa also when he was made the Minister of Finance. And the SJB
that should have been supported. That should have been. So I wasn't in Parliament at the time. I was supported.
You are not even in Parliament even now, Kusum.
Yeah, but if I was, I would support it. So I'm saying you should promote people who have these ideas.
But when that happened,
because what you've had here is you had 4 panelists who all told you that we are trying to reduce tax.
When we had similar,
I'm telling you that Sri Lanka doesn't generate enough tax. That is the primary issue. The central issue of our country is we don't generate enough tax revenue. And everybody here is talking about how to reduce the tax burden on people. I'm telling you that each and every one of us is spending too much tax. But the highest income earners in this country are not paying adequate tax. The largest corporates in this country are not paying enough tax. Take a look at the banking sector. You all saw in the Financial Times, in the last couple of months, the results have come out. You saw the reversals, right? from the bonds, you know how much we're talking. We're talking about 10, 12, 15, 20, 30 billion rupees of profits. Have we gone back to the banks and said, okay, you all escaped the DDO, and now you all have made extraordinary profits. So are we going to get anything back? Is there a windfall tax? Like Mr. Ravi Karunanak or apparently Mr. Basit Rajapaksa said, bring a one-off...
No, they implemented it.
Yeah, so that should be brought again now, because this is the time to do it. The next 3-4 years, it's about taxes, it's about revenue. And if you don't get revenue, you're not going to spend. You're not going to spend on social assistance, you're not going to spend on education. And I'll guarantee you another thing, this budget also has this record capital expenditure investment, right? Many governments have said we are going to make a record expenditure on capex. When it comes down to the end of the year, the budget, that's not even 50% spent because they don't have the money. They don't have the money because there is no tax revenue.
Kusum, let me correct you on this profits on banks. If you deduct the DDO from banks, it's either fall in the profit or some banks would have lost.
If there was a DDO?
If you deduct the DDO from their balance sheet.
Right now, the impairments have been reversed,
yes,
and the banks have gotten a huge profit.
Because
if you're telling me that if there wasn't a reversal, if you're saying the DDO is included in the banks, I would invite you to go and check the retained earnings of every single bank. In their balance sheets, it's all publicly stated. They have 300, 400 billion
but
rupees.
Shihar is saying...
They have 300, 400 billion
Shihar
rupees
is saying makes sense. You know why? Because banks are earning a lot at this moment of time. If they are to sustain, they have to earn money as well.
Gentlemen, I'm from the banking sector. Go and check the net interest margin on any bank and check if it's increased or decreased. They have not even passed on the lower rates to customers. This is a fact. Go and ask anyone.
So you know how much the banks are paying now? The taxation that the banks are paying right now.
They are paying a higher rate than the average corporate.
Absolutely.
And that's right. But I'm telling you that if our corporate tax to GDP in our country is under 2%, that means there are some corporates in this country that aren't paying enough tax. And I'm sorry, that's a very difficult message for our corporate to hear. I understand it.
I'm very happy, Kusum, you are very patriotic. Even if you are working in the banking sector.
No, I wasn't in the banking sector.
You were in the banking sector. And you asked the bank as a sector.
Ruwan, I have a question now. There are a few criticism about, the new government is also going with the IMF. They have been maintaining the same status quo in the economy, and the policies are same, like, it's just Ranil Wickremesinghe's budget. That was the message, the criticism we get. But there were a lot of things, your party proposed in the manifesto. Tell us, what you have done, contrary to what, previous government or previous budgets proposed. What are the new things in the budget?
Yeah, that actually the thing is that again what I have to tell you is that is just we couldn't, as well as we can't ignore what IMF has
No, I'm not saying that, but still you had a space, right?
Yeah.
Now the last week I think there was a press conference by IMF, right?
Yeah.
They clearly said few things. One is you can have you don't have to go for restructuring. You don't have to privatize the SOEs, right?
Yeah.
But still you can own it by the state, but still you can go for restructuring by, few things like, to make sure that there is no losses, right? Few things, right?
Yeah.
So they have given you the space. The IMF has given you the space, right? And there was something on the public sector employees, the number of employees, and IMF said, okay, within the given limitations, you all can have the same numbers, right?
Yeah.
So you all are given space.
Yeah.
So my question is, what are the new things you have brought in the budget?
Yeah, that is as far as the government sector is concerned. So it says that in this essay series also, that is the three main reasons for our crisis. The one was tax collection, weak tax collection, and the other one is inefficient SOEs and poor fiscal management, right? So then that is for those three areas we have been taking some kind of actions, especially the tax collection. It is going to be have a efficient administration. Recently, President summoned the local tax or revenue department, and so going to be restructured structured, the way that is the taxes are going to be collected, and how it must be done in an effective manner, those things are in the discussion. Right, so then that is another thing is that SOEs, as far as the SOEs are concerned. So when we took over the most of the SOEs, they were not the profit earning areas. They were actually giving some lust. Right, so now as far as in my area, there was one Lanka sugar company, Palwatta and Sevanagala, both. They have been burdened for the country because that is because of the over filling of the workers. Right, there should be around 2,000 workers in that one, but there are 5,000 people as the workers. So then that is inefficiencies there. That what we are going to do is that, so how we can create the opportunities and the spaces in the given framework. So that is what we are going to do. And so the most of the SOEs, what the minister and the deputy minister said, so it is our duty at the end of the year, so try to bring them into the positive direction. So for that we are working, and as far as the government sector is concerned, depending on the given circumstances, so we are going to recruit the people, I mean that is the government, for the government sector. So that is 6,000 has been approved by the cabinet to be taken into the government sector. That is, the new job opportunities will be given, and there are such. So in the given circumstances, we have been planning to make positive impacts.
Yeah. So wait, you said that new job opportunities would be given in the public sector, right?
Yeah.
So now
public sector mean that is for the government.
For the government.
Yeah. State.
Already, Ruwan, the state sector is bloated with 1.5 million employees. So you all want to add more to the state sector and burden the private sector more?
No, that is the thing is that that is the problem. That is the problem.
So then why do you all want to offer more state sector jobs?
So we need to understand it. We need to understand what is the environment, what is the background of this. So there are certain areas when that is the election promises. So the people have been recruited to the government in the large basis, right? Large scale.
But Ruwan,
so
usually if you are to recruit more people to the public sector to make it efficient, make sure that the people who are there, who are redundant, remove them from their positions before. You all want to make sure that you all have some public support also. In the meantime, you all are bloating the state sector of the country, and as a result of that, the private sector has to pay.
No, there are certain areas where there are vacancies which must be filled. So as far as the education sector is concerned,
right?
As far as the education sector is concerned,
I am not talking about the education sector alone. I am talking about the 1.5 million state sector employees in the country. If you all are going to add more, how much is this more that we are talking about? And why do you all want to burden the state sector more?
No,
if there are people who are redundant, if there are people who are bloated in the state sector, put them into positions that they could work.
That cannot be done. That is what I am going to give you one example. Let me explain this.
You all are taxing the private sector and trying to give that to the public sector.
No. So the thing is that the wildlife, as far as the wildlife is considered,
disposed to the inefficient sector.
There are around 600 field officers there are vacancies for that. That must be done. There is only one field officer is there in Buttala area. There must be 4.
We hear this a lot. Now I did an interview with the Minister of Justice, and he said AG's department has a staffing problem, legal draftsmen, and so on and so forth. But we still have 1.5 million in the state sector. Where are these people?
So that is what.
Because they don't seem to be occupying. Now you spoke of the wildlife. Correct. But where are these 1.5?
Why not? That is sugar factory, right? Whereas you need 2,000 people, you have 5,000 people.
5,000 people. So think about the percentage right there in that company itself. But the thing is that
so then make it redundant. Make it redundant and remove these people from the public sector.
No, I'd like to bring in a term here: reskilling, which is something we all do. I mean, Shamir, 20 years ago, you didn't have these skills. If you had stayed at that level, you wouldn't have this job. Neither would I.
True.
every month, every week we are
Sidelight or
reskilling. Yeah. So the problem with our public sector is that, somebody joins 20 years ago, he is a political appointee, he doesn't learn new skills, and now 20 years later, he is still the same.
Yeah.
And now you can't move him without actually reskilling him.
Yeah.
So where's the reskilling program? Because we need, 1.5 million people, you might have to shift 500,000 of them from one department to another. Now, if the sugar company has 2,000 extra people, what are you going to do with them?
Yeah.
You have to shift them by reskilling them.
So that is,
and reskilling should not take years, right? You can learn a new trick or two within a month, 2 months.
Yeah.
Right?
So we have.
Why isn't this happening?
But
Because
don't take popular decisions and wanting to please the public sector of this country who voted in favor of the NPP.
No.
Take hard decisions. That's what the people want.
because if you are going to fill these cadre vacancies, which are critical, right? If you are going to bring in new, fresh people from outside, then the 1.5 million will become 1.6 million. So this is what I'm saying. Where's the reskilling? And there should be a freeze on hiring people until the people inside already become more efficient.
Yeah, that must be done, and that is what we have been discussing. Even that sugar factory is concerned. So we are going to create various kinds of opportunities in the factory itself, as well as the related to that. So now you know that. So we are planning in the tourism sector. So we are expecting 3 million people, tourists in this year. So that we are going to, so even today we discussed about that, so we are going to have some more spaces for the tourism. So we are going to use the untapped potentials in Monoragala as well as in the other areas where the tourism can be improved. So then that is various kinds of decisions are taken to deploy the same kind of people to different kinds of jobs. So it has to be discussed, it has to be analyzed, and you know that so when you are going to have a U-turn in an economy, so it's not easy, but it needs the suggestions, it needs the kind of encouragement as well as kind of support. So that is surely this will be done and this will be addressed in the sense that you were expecting.
Mr. Gunasekera, I want to ask you, because you are one of the experienced politician and the MP in 1994, right? Now we have seen this vicious cycle of government, when the government's trying to go behind this underworld and criminals and drug smugglers, then you see some diversion and you see some perceived threats to national security, and we see the same thing now
happening again.
Yeah, how do you see this, and what does this mean for the new government?
Yeah, the question is this. I can answer that. Of course, you have to understand that this is all the creation of the past. The creation of the past has to be accepted by the NPP, and as to how they are going to deal with that is a different question. But these are creations, and mind you, those things cannot be changed overnight. The amount of corruption, nepotism, as well as threats to human life, etc., have always been at the very high level. Now, in order to change those, it's not that easy, because the system concept. Just imagine, the other day I see so many police constables or officers being transferred out as a result of some wrong thing that they have done. You're not going to change the system by transferring him out. How do you get him out? You need to get him out. You can't clean up the system. Huh? If somebody does something wrong, he has to be punished immediately. You can't, because the system will carry on in this manner.
Tell me.
Now, I will tell you that. Yeah.
I'm just asking you. Tell me, you were a parliamentarian from 1994 to 2000, no?
Yeah.
So,
2000.
Tell
we were
me
the last. We were the longest. Because we went beyond 6 years.
6 years, no? Well, 6 years and a few months.
Yeah.
So tell me, from the 6 years and a few months, who you all punished when you all were in power?
That's correct. If you ask a question, I will not have an answer. But don't forget one thing. We did not promote that culture. We didn't promote that culture.
Tell me.
There were issues.
No, so
There have been issues right along. And if they can, correct. I know that.
you were also part of that system.
Don't say I'm a part of it.
You were also part of that system. Don't forget that.
Don't say I'm a part of it.
You were. I don't know whether you're not a part of it now or not, but you were part of that.
I've never been a part of anything. Never been part of those.
Did you walk out of the SLFP?
Pardon?
Did you walk out of the SLFP when they were not arresting the people and bring them to justice, as they said, in front of Golface? Did you walk out?
No, I did not.
You
That's
were
correct.
part of the system.
Don't say that, because you know why? Then you'll ask all these...
2000.
Listen.
After 2000,
you know
you
where...
may have changed.
After 2000,
you know where
you're
but
getting.
when you were in power, you were in the system. You can't blame anyone here.
You know
when
what?
they're in power, they will act based on the fancy of holding power for the next few years as well.
No, that is not the issue. The issue is, if I go to answer that question, you will ask the MP, will you care? You will also go out if you can't do it. No, that is not the answer. This is a culture. They have changed the culture. Promote that culture. At least, even if they don't catch a single person, promote that culture, because that is good for the country. Yeah? That is good for the country. That is what we want.
No, I'm not talking about changing culture.
I can answer.
That is why they have got a resounding mandate. No,
Shamil, I can answer. If you ask me questions, I can answer. Now,
I'm asking
you asked a question about the budget speech. Yeah? I will tell you something which I observed. You may not agree with me. For the very first time in my life, I saw a budget speech connect to the policy statement. Most of his proposals, he said, as stated in a policy document. Did you observe that? Where did this happen in the past? Nowhere. This is the first time we see that. Where he
But Nuwan is not agreeing.
No.
Nuwan is saying whatever has been promised in the manifesto has not been...
Wait, I'm telling you, go through the budget speech. He says most of his proposals as per a policy document. Where did this happen in the past?
Listen, in economics,
they are trying their level best.
In economics, there are two things, Mr. Gunasekera. One is called qualitative aspects and one is called quantitative aspects. Qualitative aspects, yes. He said, based on the budget, we are doing this all. Tell me one quantitative aspect he drew parallel to.
No, the question is this. You have to understand, you need to give them time.
No, they told, example, quantitative is, if they said a number, as Nuwan said, they will bring down the VAT from this amount to this amount. If they have said they will bring down, increase or whatever it is, that is called quantitative aspect. Tell me one quantitative aspect that President Anukumar Dasanayaga made parallel to in his budget speech 2025.
Listen.
Qualitative aspects, yes. Anyone can do that.
No, I won't tell you
do that.
No, I won't tell you something. I said this before as well. When this government came in, I said, for heaven's sake, give them time. When I say give them time, within 3 months, don't try to chase them away.
Who's trying to chase them?
No. The questioning by everybody in the opposition, as well as media stations.
The local government election. They are not even trying. He is itself saying chief opposition whip is not doing anything. He's lackluster. And you are saying the STB is trying to chase him away. There is no leadership in the STB to do that.
At this juncture, I see everybody in the opposition taking on the government. Most of the media stations taking on the government.
Tell me who?
That's the job of society.
No.
Mr. Gunasekera, tell me which opposition are you talking about?
Taking on the government.
Tell me which opposition?
No, it is happening.
Which opposition?
It is in the sense.
Is it in parliament?
No, it is in the
Who's
sense.
Who's trying to take the NPP?
It is something you said. So many people are dissatisfied. If I ask you, who are the people who are dissatisfied?
I didn't say so many people. I said,
so many.
No, I said
of course.
People are dissatisfied.
Yes, sir. How many?
So many.
So tell me.
You are putting words into my mouth.
Tell me.
Don't do that.
Tell me. Enlighten me. Who are the people? You have to give them time. I feel. As I said, his budget speech is good.
Let's take this table for an example. Let's take the four of you for an example.
Yeah.
Here itself, you have two people who have opposing views to the government.
That's it. That's what I say.
So dissatisfied.
That is what I say. The culture changes.
Look at your right, look at your left, then you will see how many people are dissatisfied.
Shamil, I'm not a party, I'm not a member of the NPP, but why do I support them? Because that's the way forward for this country, not for anything else.
No, agreed. Agreed, Mr.
I see that so many things that they are doing.
Right, now I'll ask you the same question. Now you are saying you're supporting the NPP, now I'm asking you a very simple question.
I feel...
Now Sevwandi is at large. Do you know who Sevwandi is? Do you know? You don't know who Sevwandi is? No problem. Do you know Deshpal Tendakon?
No, that's
the IGP of this country, do you know him?
That's a job of a particular agency. It's not a job of Ruwan.
Yeah, who's coming?
It's not a job of Andhra Kumar Dissanayake.
Who is the Minister of Defence?
No, listen.
Who is the Minister of Justice? Who is the Minister in charge of the police and the CID?
You got to understand.
That is what the people are saying.
That is a gradual process.
Remove Deshpal Tendakon from the post of IGP.
No, wait.
Who has the power to do that?
Those things.
Who has to power to do that?
Problem, no?
That's it. These are not things that you can do overnight. For heaven's sake, understand. You have lost. You ask, why don't you chase away the president from the house?
Who said
You can't do. Yeah, you said that.
Who said?
You said it.
When did I say that?
Of course you said it.
Which one?
No, he said, why can't you get the president out of the house?
No. When?
No, if it's rental.
Former president. Mahinda Rajapaksa. Mr. Gunasekera.
That became an issue.
Yeah.
Not the current president. When I say it's ex-president, I didn't mention name.
I was wondering what did I say all that. I am forgetting.
Can you do that? Can you do that? No, those things you can't do. In fact, many people ask me this question.
So Mr. Gunasekera, I'll tell you a classic example. Yeah. Now, President Mahinda Rajapaksa is saying, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Send me a letter to evacuate my house.
Shami,
why can't present government do that?
Shami, he is a senior politician. He's the most senior politician in this country. He understands what is right. He understands what is wrong. He understands he participated in a cabinet decision where he sat as the prime minister and took a decision to enrich himself. And if he cannot understand that that decision was illegal and wrong, what do you expect anybody else? Huh? What do you expect? What do you expect from the members of parliament who have taken houses?
Chandrika Council can do the same thing. Now you all lead in 1994-2000.
Listen, whether it is X, Y or Z, wrong is wrong. That is exactly what. Why did the Supreme Court...
But if the wrong is not corrected by somebody...
Why did the Supreme Court decide with regard to housing for presidents in the past? Why? Because they said it is wrong. That decision is wrong. So if you continue to do wrong things and you are not bothered about it, you are not shamed about it, what can I say? I mean, I'm not going to mention anything else.
Can I add something?
That's all.
Now, regarding these extrajudicial killings, especially the suspects who are under arrest, I think people like Ruwan who had good aspiration when they supporting NPP should have a concern about that, because the previous government also did that. People like Kesarralal openly did that. Soon after the president...
openly did what?
He openly accepted this behavior of the police by that time. There was a statement. He has given full power to police to completely eradicate this underworld doing anything. Yes, exactly. Then even president had a discussion after the Halstroff incident. We were also there by that time near the courthouse. Incident that police should take every steps to eradicate this particular threat. Then one day after that, only that Kothene incident was taken place. So I am not blaming, but people like Ruwan actually should have a concern, because for a moment we don't like to establish the previous political culture which has SJB, Ranil Wickremesinghe had. Somehow there was a good aspiration of the people changing that political culture.
And they have done it, and they have come into power.
So to the certain extent they have done. But the way that they move forward, we feel once again it going back to the previous culture. That's why that's an alarming situation. They should have a concern, because now they have a power of the government. But the state is a different thing. State is behind, actually it's upper sector. Actually this state apparatus are concerned. State is a different thing. State includes the IMF, religion, and the other political cultures. They have power of the government. They should somehow take over the power of the state, especially with the element which control the government. So these certain attitudes.
Are you speaking about the state or the deep state?
Both, especially the state. State means the government is only a part of the state. State has a the other certain attitudes, at the same time certain ideologies. All these things are contained in the state. Especially now, for instance, you asked about the rice mafia. State is concerned, this rice mafia, the owners of these main 5 families, they are part of the state. They are controlling the state policies and everything. So therefore the government unable to meet that. At least government was unable to give a proper solution for that rice mafia. So these, if they are unable to take the state power, after taking the government power, definitely they will be sinking this particular crisis. That is what happened to them.
What really happened with this rice mafia matter? Now, when I tried to find some rice in the last 1 month, some kiri samba, I couldn't find, not even 5 kilos.
Yeah, but this is explained a lot. But the thing is that
has that situation been resolved now?
Yeah, that it is being resolved.
But then the 5 mafia families, they're still there. That's not resolved.
You know that. So
this could happen again. This could then happen again.
Firstly, Nilesh, this has not been solved.
No, that
you go to any supermarket and try to find some kiri samba.
Yeah.
It's going to be like finding a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, maybe, but because there may be some situations, if you have had first-hand experiences, it may be true. But the thing is that so we have taken certain steps to resolve the problem. So I think that again it's again challenging. It's again challenging.
You can't find rice, Nilesh, for less than 200, 300.
Actually, government wanted to resolve it through the Paddy marketing board. But ultimately, these 5 families sabotaged that as well. They purchased 1 kilo for 150. The government suggested only 130. So then once again, that's why they are the part of the state. Now they are controlling the government policies.
But Nuwan, to be fair by the public, because we as journalists, we have to stand by the public. A kilo of kiri samba today in the market is more than 300 rupees a kilo.
Exactly.
Whereas the control price is at 230. Yeah. You can't find rice for that price.
You're telling about kiri samba.
Kiri samba.
Yeah. Yeah, that is what again we are not going to say that no that is everything is possible in the market and in the outside.
No, but then we are not telling that. No, the president said no. He will take over these rice mill owners who are not abiding by the government demand. Yeah. That is also not happening.
No. The thing that is if you some farmers have started giving rice to the paddy to the government sector around can't exactly tell the number of tons have been given for the government sector. But anyway, it has been
the issue with the paddy marketing board is they don't have the large storage, right?
Store as well as Mr. Gunasekera said. So it was again, it is the system which was maintained, right? So then that is why we are telling that.
Yeah, so the question is, what have you done to basically address that issue, and how can we prevent that in the future?
Right, that is the thing. So that is various decisions have been taken. The implementation of those decisions into the which extent it is, that is the problem. Implementation. So, but anyway, that is the decisions were taken. That controlling the price have been given, and we have opened up the paddy stores. And we have kind of reinforcement the paddy the board, and the various kinds of things have been done. 120 have been given as the price.
Just not the budget allocation is sufficient. The government has allocated certain amount of money to purchase the rice. That amount is sufficient to purchase only the consumption of 4 days rice. So that is a crisis. So using these loopholes only, these rice mafia people are taking control over these industries.
Yeah.
So government must be careful on that, because what we are saying, if you could get the power of the state apparatus, definitely they will get together and defeat this government.
Sure.
So people like you had a good aspiration. We respect that. But what happened to the previous government and other previous regimes were that these state apparatus, the other elements, they took over the control of the government. That danger is still there as your government is concerned. So
Yeah, sure.
You have 159 seats.
Yeah.
During last 3 months, tell me at least one law you pass inside the government. Let's the Samagi Perumuna government, within very short period of time, they brought lot of reforms because they did it wrong manner, but there are some socialist and people oriented aspects. This government, within these 4 months, at least they were unable to bring one law. Let's assume this rice mafia, at least to confiscate these properties. Nothing has been given to the parliament.
One is right. Now, even during the 100 days, the Missing Persons Act was being brought in. The 19th Amendment to the Constitution was immediately brought in. People were against it. People like
Why did they bring the 19th Amendment?
Yeah, but that was promised.
At least bringing new act is a different thing. At least to abolish PTA, OSA, using this 159 power, this government is unable to do that.
What's the legislation that's been passed in the last 4 months?
Nothing.
Has there been any? There's nothing. That's what I thought.
Who will be benefited out of that? This SJB and UMP who brought this bad culture to society, they will be benefited out of that. Then nothing will be gained out of this for the people who had the proper aspiration, good aspirations. So that is why there's an alarming situation now. You must have a concern about that.
Yeah, that's true to some extent. But what we are looking at and what we experience in the part of the government is that the government, president, prime minister, and the ministers, cabinet ministers, and everybody is trying hard to make some the positive impacts and to get the things done, right? So I think that it's true that laws must be passed and the certain steps must be taken, but the need of the hour, that's into some extent is that we need to move the country forward in the given circumstances. Economy, in even a simple shock. Even a simple shock. When we were going to pass a kind of, that's true that we have 159. But the thing is that even a small shock for the economy cannot be easily affordable. It's not. So because of that reason, I think that the main concern,
at least bring the Batalan Commission report to the parliament. That's what
it will be. It will be. Not only that. One thing I want to mention. So various kinds of acts will be brought to the parliament soon. Surely we have been informed, and we know some of the things will be brought soon to the parliament.
Well, there is a criticism on the experience of the new NPP, the MPs, right? Yeah. True that most of you all, I think, except the president, then Harini, the prime minister, and Wijetilleke, all others are, most of others are, new to the parliament.
There are 6 people who have experience, and apart from that,
how far it's having, there's this lack of experience having an impact on this, legislation.
Yeah, it's true that. So that. So the even though we have some outer experiences from the parliament. Right, so when it comes to the parliament, legislature, so it's something quite different because you need to get yourself adjusted to the situations in the parliament. Acts are there, even the orders in the parliament, how you stand up and speak, standing orders, right? How you stand and speak. So everything is new for us. Right, everything is new for us. So it must be understood. But what we are careful is we are not going to make any mistake from our perspective. Right, as the leaders of the government and the government sector, we are not going to make any mistake. We are not going to room for any corruption, fraud, or whatever the things. We are trying to be example as the leaders from our perspective.
So Ruwan, I just want to ask you a question. Do you all have democracy within the NPP?
What do you mean by? I mean,
Like, can you, now let's take you for an example.
Yeah.
Can you come out tomorrow and make a statement about the party or the way in which governance takes place in the country?
Yeah.
Is there democracy within the party?
Sure.
There is.
Sure, yeah, sure. Because if not that, how could I come here today? Because I am coming a member, a new member from area like Monaragala. So do you think that this is even this is possible? Right? This is also my presence today in the Face the Nation program is a good example that what NPP is trying to do.
We are happy. I think this is the first time I've been hosting the show for the last 9 years since its inception, and this is the first time that we are having a member of parliament from Munragal district coming on the show and speaking English, which is admirable. That is what the change we want to see in the country. Everyone has an opportunity to come into parliament, not like the Rajapaksa family and having power center. That's a different story altogether. Ruwan, I just want to ask you a question now. I'm not done. Ruwan, these salaries of MPs of the NPP has come into discussions a lot.
Yeah.
Now, your salary, now you were an English teacher from Munragal district, you were the principal of the Mahanama Central College in Munragal as well. Now, your salary, you are depositing it to the centralized fund of the NPP, or can you just give me... because you said there is democracy.
Yeah.
If there is democracy, you should be able to get your own salary, no?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to understand this.
So if we are...
Shamir, his salary is his concern.
No, but if he's not a member of parliament, I won't even ask his salary. Am I asking Kusum salary? Am I asking Nuwan salary? I am not.
I was a member of parliament and you asked a question from me.
Yeah.
I said, look here.
Wait.
My salary
Right,
is
that's you, Mr. Gunasekera. No, that is you, Mr. Gunasekera. There is around 250,000 plus that is being paid for every...
Yeah, we know the salary.
Yeah, we know it's public domain. So I'm asking a very simple question. So because you said there is democracy. Now don't go in the path of what Mr. Gunasekera said. He's not a good example. Right?
Yeah.
So Ruwan, tell me.
Yeah. What,
who now your salary?
Yeah.
Are you getting the salary to your account?
Yeah, my account.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
After that, are you putting that salary to a centralized fund?
Yeah, that is, you know that...
yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Are you putting it to a centralized fund of the JVP or the NPP? Let's say yes. Let's say for hypothetical case, now we have had a former MP. He also said that you all are putting this money to a centralized fund.
Yeah.
Now my question is, how do you live about a month?
Yeah.
When you put your salary into the centralized fund, does the party look after you?
Why not?
How do they look after you?
That is, you know, that everything.
No, everything
of us. Yeah.
How does it happen now?
Yeah.
For me to understand.
Are you going to come to NPP? I mean, that may ask
me.
Somebody, yeah?
Me?
Yeah.
Do I look like someone who will join the NPP?
No, that is the question, because of the question.
No, I'm asking.
Even if I have to... any political party.
Do I look like I'm joining any political party, like the PSA or Mr. Gunasekera's SLFP or the STP or the NPP?
Shamir, what I think
my question is very simple.
That is,
when you put your money to a centralized fund, who looks after you and your family?
If we are coming happily, and if we are serving,
Mr.
Why do you concern a lot about that? That is that should not be a concern.
Ruwan, you may be the most patriotic person in the world.
Yeah.
Let's say you are the most patriotic person in the world. You want to help the country. But my question is not that. When you take me for an example, now I'm getting a certain salary. If I put my salary to a centralized fund, I don't know how I'm going to look after myself for a month. So for the public who's watching the show, they would want to know, how do you live?
Yeah.
Are clothes being given by someone?
Yeah.
Is a monthly allowance being given by someone? Do you all get a ration pack from someone? How does it happen? Tell us, because we also would like to know. We want to know how Desi Archie and Yoshithira Rajapaksa were the highest, were the most successful gem merchants in Sri Lanka. Now, we don't know that, no, how did that happen? Like that, we also want to know, just enlighten us.
No, that is given. That is given for us. So depending on, you know that, so depending on...
So you are getting an allowance from that?
Yeah, we know. Why not? So we have been given, so our petrol allowances and the vehicles and those things are provided depending on not the high scale, but depending on. So we have.
So let's say you are getting approximately. I know this is not a fair question. Let's say you are getting.
We don't need to go on.
Out of your 10%.
I have given you
how
the
much,
answer. That's not fair.
Right. Okay. I won't answer this question. No, I won't answer. I'm not being fair. I won't. But you said you're getting an allowance. Right. Okay. That's all.
Can I ask a follow-up question to this? Now we have the rice mafia.
Yeah.
We have various cultures within government and outside government, which the NPP is trying to change.
Yeah.
But with the rice mafia, we didn't see a clear change.
Yeah.
The mafia is still there. So the public is quite within its rights to be fearful that this might happen again. So is there any follow-up? Now, okay, there was a huge shortage of rice that has, you do find rice, maybe not kirisamba, but you find other types of rice.
Yeah.
Right. But could this happen again? And what is the follow-up here? Because now my experience with these pervasive cultures is they will delay and wait out the government, right? They will delay things so that then you go on to another crisis and forget about that one, right? Now, what Nuwan spoke about the extrajudicial killings by the police. Now, we've seen this before, but now 3 weeks ago, 2 suspects who were arrested suddenly ended up dead, which cannot happen. According to the police's their own procedures, they can't take suspects in the middle of the night to some lonely spot. They are supposed to video it, they are supposed to get the SSP's permission, they are supposed to do a lot of things. And if you are handcuffed with your hands behind your back, I really don't understand how you can grab the policeman's weapon and shoot the policeman, right? So these are all issues. But now, I think the day after that incident, which was nearly 3 weeks ago, the secretaries of the 2 ministries concerned came to a press conference, and their answer, justifiable at that time, was that investigations will reveal exactly what happened. But now 3 weeks have gone, we don't hear much about it because so many other killings and arrests and all that has happened that people tend to forget. So is there a sufficient follow-up? Now, those 2 suspects who died, who were killed, does the NPP government know what happened? Yeah. And never mind whether they were assassins or drug dealers or whoever.
Yeah.
In other words,
they are citizens of Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
But now, this is a case where many people suspect that those 2 people were executed. Now, that's not the first time the police have done that. So, is there a follow-up here? Because we are dealing with a police force, 88,000 policemen who can't find their own IGP, right? So, somebody has to be watching over them.
In other words, Dinesh, where is the accountability?
Exactly.
No, first let's go one by one. How can individuals who are apprehended having hand behind their back take a policeman's rifle and shoot them?
Yeah, that is again. It's not up to me to answer that because it must be answered.
But
how
you're
can it happen?
not an expert in that area. But
It was not. I was not there, and I
we understand that.
just,
But
but
the
the
question
report,
about the accountability.
as a member of parliament, that report should have been, it should have come from, not the IGP, he can't be found, but from the police department, it should have gone to the Ministry of Public Security, and then from there to Parliament, because 2 citizens were apparently executed. So, now it's been 3 weeks.
No, but Neeraj,
follow-up has to be there.
with your permission, because Nuwan is a lawyer, can we pose that question to Nuwan as to ask how can the government be held accountable for something of this sort?
The first thing is there is a guidelines given by the Supreme Court as because in 2016 a fundamental right case was filed. In that case, specifically the IGP before the Supreme Court given an undertaking, there are certain guidelines as to how they are going to if there is a suspect or underworld suspect or whoever, when they are going out of the cells or custody to find weapons or anything, what should be the guidelines that they should be followed. Here, they have blatantly violated that. So, if government is accountable, first of all, they have to take steps against these police officers who are in charge. And there must be disciplinary inquiries. At least if the government says we are accountable but we are unaware about this incident, that should be the starting point. Those steps have not been taken. Then, as I said, there are 159 seats. Immediately they can bring a law to the parliament, and while they are giving their apology to people, because they can't be the government like previous government. They are accountable, as you correctly said, because the people mandate is very clear. People mandate were against these extrajudicial killings. Then immediately they can bring a act for the parliament as to how the police should act in a situation like that. So by taking these kind of action only, they can show their accountability.
I have another question for you, Nuwan, with regard to this 88,000 police officers trying to find one person.
We're not trying to find.
Trying to find.
They're
not
It's a matter of opinion.
No,
you're
not being clear now.
You think they're trying to find.
Okay, I don't know. Right. So
Perhaps they're not trying to
but
find.
let's ask Nuwan this question, will you? Nuwan, now an IGP who's absconding court files a motion through a lawyer to court. How is that possible, tell me?
According to my understanding, because
How is that
I
possible?
have been in this court system for last 17 years, without having a blessing of a government or politician, you can't hide like that in Sri Lankan system. And at the same time, to file a proxy to go to court, they have to file proxies, they have to sign their affidavit. In order to do that, they have to move
Because you
here
have
and
to,
there.
because in this affidavit that you sign, you have to place a signature
Exactly.
saying he is going to appear on your behalf.
Exactly.
So did they take this affidavit and how did it happen?
So he has to meet a lawyer in front of a justice office. He has to sign. In order to do that, he has to move here and there.
Then the IG, Deshpande Tendulkar has appeared and suddenly disappeared.
Yes, for the case actually, if that is so. In order to initiate this litigation, definitely he has to come.
So, Ruwan, good question.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to even ask a question. You can respond to it.
Yeah. That is the very first thing what...
No, let's talk about this IGP matter now. He has to sign the affidavit.
So that what Mr. Nuwan explained before this, that state, when you consider the rice mafia or that is Deshabandhu's matter or whatever the things, kind of things which are happening, right, without the intervention of from the government leadership. If we are connected, if one of the ministers is connected, so that must be considered, right, concern. But the thing is that is happening. There are some certain incidents which are happening around that must be addressed. Immediate intervention must be done for some of the actions regarding the accountability and the aspirations as far as the aspirations of the people are concerned. So that must be done immediately. That's true.
Can't the CID, just for my sake, can't the CID find out the way in which how this affidavit was signed?
Yeah, that must be considered. That must considered because
who is supposed to consider? Is it us as journalists who should consider, or is it you all as the government who should consider?
That is everything. So whatever the questions you ask, Shamir, tells the challenge ahead of us, right? It's nothing. Right. So even though that we have changed this the ruling system, still there are a lot of things to be changed. It's not easy. So, but definitely what we are trying, right? The resigning from the jobs, most of the people have come and
we appreciate that. Now, even you,
that is the thing.
As a principal of a school, and you must be very young as well, Ruwan, you quitting and joining national politics and trying to serve the public. It's good. That's what I think is required. There is no question about that one. We appreciate you, and that is why people have appointed you to parliament as well.
Yeah.
But now you all are in government.
Sure. Yeah.
Now it's not you all in opposition.
No.
Now this is not Ruwan Wijeweera from the opposition.
Yeah.
This is Ruwan Wijeweera from the government, and that is why in this panel you have got the first seat also.
Yeah. Sure.
And that is why most of the questions are directed at you also, because everyone wants answers.
Yeah.
So now you are not in the opposition anymore.
Yeah, that's true, because even we feel
you all feel the heat,
more than that the heat. Why not? That is because everything which is not going in our way, so gives some kind of feeling that it must be done. It must be done.
If that is the case, if that is the case, Ruwan, why must the people give you all a mandate at the local government elections?
Yeah, because that is what I'm telling. Because though that the government has been given, we have been given the clear mandate. So this needs some time. I'm not telling that the 5 years, so that 6, about the 4 years. I am telling that this is in the beginning. In the beginning, we must expect kind of bigger threat than this from the other people, because when you look at the kind of people that we have defeated, right? So how many deals are there to be? How many deals were done by them? So they also have.
So you all have not even taken action about these deals. Now you all said initially that Kanchana Wijetileke was making around 100 rupees from a litre of petrol. So this has not been reduced. Now someone else is making this money.
No, that has been answered. I think that many times that has been answered, but now it is clear. But that is not the main thing. That's not the main thing.
You said deals. That's what. Yeah. I remember just on top of my head. I didn't write this here on this piece of paper.
Yeah.
On top of my head, I remembered you all said about Kanchana Wijetileke making around 100 rupees.
Yeah.
He's still making that money in your government.
No.
Then who is making that money?
No, that's not the case. That's not the case. But
then you can reduce it. No?
It has been with the amount of money has been taken as the loans.
So this 100 rupees is being utilized for the government.
So the treasury, some of the money has been going to the treasury to pay loans, and there are.
But that is not there in the budget. Things. No, as a saving, that 100 rupees is not there in the budget proposal. No. Usually when you make a budget proposal for the year, you have to mention how much of money is being saved through a particular action or whatever it is. So this 100 rupees that has been saved from the petrol or fuel is not there in the budget proposal. No.
But
is someone else taking this money?
No.
Then it is to mention.
No one is taking. What I'm telling that the kind of the money. It is that the people cannot be given that as what you call.
No, but in the budget, it has to be shown as a saving. No, where is that? Now, usually what happens I remember in 2020 when this fuel subsidy matter came into play, Uday Gammampille went on and said that he, as the Minister of Petroleum at that time, was able to save this much of money. And that is reflecting the recurrent account of the Ceylon Petroleum Board Corporation. Now, I'm asking you, you're saying this 100 rupees have been saved for the benefit of the public. In which account does it show this 100 rupees being saved? So, after the end of the year, next year, when you come, Ruwan, I can ask you for what is this 100 rupees being used for? It will be billions at that time.
Let's give an answer for that. Right?
I'm giving you some time. No more.
Why we are worried? Now, you have to openly tell the price of the fuel is controlling by now Sinopec, IOC, now Shell has come. So, they are only controlling that. In a situation like that, you should, as a government, take control over this industry. So, in order to do that, you can't, after selling the balance tanks in Trincomalee to IOC or some other company, you can't do that. So, what we expect from government, what we are demanding,
Nuwan, how still the CPC can still purchase fuel store it in the tanks that it already has.
But the distribution is concerned now. Actually, 70% is now owned by IOC and Sinopec and Shell Gas. That distribution is concerned. Now they are controlling the price. So people's mandate over the NPP to break these monopolies. It can be rice, it can be fuel, it can be some other thing, LNG, but you have to immediately take the steps. That's what we are demanding.
Next year when you come on the show, Ruwan, during the same time, I can ask you how much of money has been saved and you will be able to tell me, right? How much of money?
That's sure. Any question needs to be answered because you know that it is not only from you. It is from the people's perspective. So they have been asking.
Ruwan, we are the people, Ruwan. Huh?
That's what.
Ruwan, I mean, when Kanchana Wijeweera was the energy minister, every time there was a price revision, he gives the breakdown on, how the prices were, how the calculated, right? How the cost on everything, they give a breakdown. Now, since the new government came in, we can't see that. I mean, it was kind of, it was a, crystal clear how the price was decided, right? During that time, according to the pricing formula. But we don't see that anymore in the new government. Why is that?
That is, we changed several times the price of the...
No, I'm not asking that. The breakdown, the price formula. According to the formula, there is a cost. The breakdown price.
And how much of money is being saved, how much of money is being put to the treasury, all that is told.
How much is the commission to the...
so I think since that is not happening now, Ruwan can suggest it to...
exactly. One thing I would ask Kusum...
get that done.
Yeah, Kusum, now see, most of the questions are about, the government's inexperience and, the way they are trying to do things. What is the opposition doing? What is your leader?
No, he said lackluster attitude.
No, I think...
Is it because he also giving some time for them to kind of,
No, I think the SJB was very clear, just like the NPP in our manifesto, that the current IMF program has a lot of flaws. We were very clear that the debt restructuring deal is a mistake. The macro-linked bonds are a mistake. So the SJB was very clear that if we won the election and we came to power, we would be renegotiating these things. And we understood that there is a fundamental flaw in terms of the IMF, how they consider growth. For them, growth means growth, debt means debt. But for the SJB, that's not how we see it. We see external debt as a separate problem, internal debt as a separate problem. We see growth as one thing, but tradable growth as another thing. So there are very substantive differences between how we would have handled the economy in the opening stages of a government and how the NPP has done it. Now, technically speaking, the NPP understood most of these flaws because it's given in their manifesto. So I'm not sure why they've moderated themselves to this extent.
No, Kusum, that's not the question. The question was...
Yeah, so the answer is that the SJB would have negotiated with the IMF.
What are you all doing now? You all are saying
when the budget was released, now last time I came here, Mr. Kesarralal, and you all said you all should give them more time. I said, okay, we'll give them more. You were not there, sorry.
I didn't say to
So now we've come here and now we have the first budget. So now after I'm criticizing the first budget, you all say, no, you have to give them more time.
Who was saying?
So I'm telling you that the leader of the opposition...
I think the moment you get the ball, you have to keep on running. You can't stop.
Now you asked what we're saying in Parliament. No, the leader of the opposition gave a very long speech post-budget to tell you everything that's wrong with the budget. And I'm not sure how, because there's a big confusion here. On one side, we are saying that AKD's budget speech was according to the manifesto and everything. On the other side, we are saying that the budget is an IMF budget. So then you're saying essentially that the manifesto is the same as the IMF. That's not true.
I did not tell, but what I said is that there are some of the guidelines given by the IMF, adhering to that those guidelines, yes, we had to move depending on our...
I'll tell you the problem.
I'll give you 3 minutes in the final round, Kusum, for you to explain what your position is with regard to the SJB. But the question that very specifically asked by Shihar is, what are you all doing? Now, a speech is good enough in Parliament. I just want to know. A speech after post-budget or pre-budget or whatever it is that good enough?
You
said you are
asking what kind of instruments, techniques the opposition is doing, right? So Now, if the opposition took, say, one instrument, let's say a protest, public protest. If the SJB did a public protest in the first 3 months of the government, everyone would say, you're not giving them time. Right? So, that is
First of all, I don't think you all can even bring 500 people to the streets.
No. Now, that's your idea. No, that's your speculating. Now, that's a different story. That's your idea.
Because you yourself said you all are going to be second in the
What I know is that in the last election, there was about 700,000 or 1 million vote difference between the presidential, between AKD and Mr. Premadasa. Now, the fact that Mr. Premadasa outperformed the SJB is a problem. I agree with that. But that shouldn't be the fault of Mr. Sajid Premadasa, because he won his seat. He did fairly well in the election.
No, where did he win his seat?
Well, he is in parliament, right?
No, not in the presidential election. Where did he win?
No, you don't win a seat in the presidential election, no, Shamil.
Yeah,
in the parliament.
you lost very badly.
Yeah, but I think it's acceptable when you lose a presidential election with the wave, the general election is always going to be tough. I myself said on your show that it was a lackluster general election campaign, 100%. 100% I agree. But to answer your question...
Do you feel it's a lackluster local government election campaign?
The campaign hasn't started yet. So we'll wait and see. But I'm the first person, guys. I am a critic within the SJB, right? I get blasted from my party for sometimes criticizing the SJB.
That's okay. No,
but I have to do it, right? Because I'm not saying the SJB is a perfect party. But what I'm saying is that the NPP has come in with a certain, what do you call it, mandate, right? I'm sorry, everything that you have said in this show, everything that he has said, I don't think this mandate is being followed. The problem that I think Nuwan brought up as well, from whether you talk about the rice mafia, the tuk-tuk mafia, drug mafia, it's a problem of accountability and justice.
Yeah, so we
have those things changed? I don't see anything in a big way.
So Mr. Gunasekera, before we move on to the final round, do you think the NPP government will be able to build infrastructure to the country in their next 5 years?
They should be able to.
Because when you were in parliament from 1994 to 2000,
nothing was built.
Nothing was done.
Oh, I see. Why do you, can I take you on this?
There was one project. No, wait. One project.
1 hour program. If you give me 1 hour program, I will come.
No, there was one project that you all built, the underground tunnel in Buralla. I missed that.
Shamil,
no, do you think the NPP will be able to build infrastructure projects in the next 5 years when they are fighting corruption and doing all this right now?
It's a humongous task, but they'll do it. They'll do it. Because I feel they have a good team. Many people would say that they are inexperienced, but don't say that. We were all inexperienced when we entered parliament. We were all inexperienced, but we gathered everything over a very short period of time. 1 year, max. That's more than enough.
Right. So I want to give...
So they will definitely deliver. And I feel that Sri Lanka has won many hearts from the international community. That is a very good sign for this country. That is a very good sign for this country.
2015.
Those are the things that will go a long way.
2015, Mr. Gunasekera, when President Maithripala Sirisena was elected, I was with President Maithripala Sirisena at the UN General Assembly, and he was in the main table.
Same.
There was a US President, there was the Canadian President, Prime Minister.
All that was arranged by the lady.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, whatever it is, there were a lot of people in that same table. But what did he do? What a disaster, Mr. Gunasekera. You have fallen out with him now.
Why do you think I have fallen out?
You're not even in the SLP working committee.
My God, I don't criticize people.
No, you're not even in the SLP working committee.
No, that is their decision, not my decision.
Right, okay, right.
Everybody can take decision. Shamir,
we will have
I will answer.
We'll have the discussion.
I will answer your question. Shamil, you got to understand that the NPP, as I said, we must ensure that they succeed.
Right.
And I feel they get the support of many overseas countries.
Right. So let me give 2 minutes each. Let's start with Nuwan as to what his closing remarks are for tonight. Let's start with you, Nuwan.
Yeah, we know in September 2024, people have taken a different decision. They wanted to change the existing political culture, and they gave power to the NPP. The conduct of the NPP, it is very clear. They are not willing to radically change the economy or this particular system. So there's no system change. So that is their policy. So they are not willing to change the system. So they wanted to reset the system. Then the second thing is, then at least if they are not going to change the system, at least they have to comply their policy statement. This is Pohosat Ratak Lasana Jeevitha. Now, secondly, people have to have a concern about whether they are willing to implement these things. For instance, in page 89 of this book, they are saying they are going to protect the senior citizens. Now, they have imposed more taxes on senior citizens' deposits. At the same time, they said they are going to reduce the VAT, bring it to the 0% for essential food, medicines, school items, but they were unable to do from this budget. Then page 105, what they said, they are renegotiate IMF agreements and they are going to bring an alternative DSA, which they were unable to do. At the same time, at the page, some petty thing, page 194, they have given assurance there won't be extrajudiciary killing at the custody of the police. Now that has been happened. At the same time, what they said, they are going to abolish the executive presidency, which they are not willing to do. At the same time, page 231, they said they are willing to abolish the PTA soon after they get to power, OSA. That also they are not going to do. Then what is happened, the history repeats. Even they are not willing to implement what they agreed, what they promised in this particular book. Then what we should do? We are addressing the people. Now there is no system change anymore. The same system is prevailing. Then we have to fight for new system change. We have to change the entire economic system to bring more democratic society. We should bring the people's power to the surface. While we are doing so, we have to be mindful not to give benefit out to people who brought this uncouth political culture to the system, like SJB, UMP and Podujana Peramuna. They only brought this uncouth political culture to society, so we should not allow them to come to power using these defects of the NPP. Therefore, you have to be mindful to choose proper political movement which having policies which representing the people. Therefore, what we are telling the people as People Struggle Alliance, from the very outset, we have been fighting with the people. We are mobilizing people. We are always in the side of the people. Therefore, we invite people to gather around the PSA to change, to have a proper system change.
Thanks a lot, Nuwan, for joining us this evening as well. Mr. Gunasekera.
Shamin, I feel the NPP has a huge task, as I said earlier, but only thing is, we all must support them. And I feel there are 4 agencies I've been saying right throughout that you need the revolutionary changes: income tax, customs, excise. These 3 areas, if you don't bring revolutionary changes, the country is in serious trouble. Why I say that is, take the case of income tax. We have failed for a very long period of time. There are so many people who are outside the net who cannot be dragged in, who cannot be roped in. That's a fault of the department. And you have a huge staff. What for? If you are unable to do that, you need innovative changes brought in by the NPP government. If they need to do that, and we must prevail upon them to do that. That's the only way forward. And I feel that so many things are coming to light to say as to how governance has taken place in the past. I mean, recently I saw the leader of the opposition, leader of the House and the chief government whip. Those positions were there for time immemorial. But during the last couple of years, there have been assistants who have been appointed to those positions. For what reason? To get perks, to get petrol, and to get staff nominated to those people. This is criminal. Huh? This is absolutely criminal. And when the NPP stops these things, nobody is there to say, look here, you have done something good. You have done something fantastic. No, nobody. Why? Why is that? I mean, I feel in the present day context, members of parliament do not require seven staff members. In the past, yes, but now, because there is so much technology advancement that you don't require all that. And the face has changed. Members of parliament cannot be sending letters for jobs. Members of parliament cannot be sending letters for school admissions anymore because the government has decided you can't do that. So their roles have changed. That is why I say the culture has been changed. They are trying their level best to instill that culture, but many people do not want, including electronic media and the other media as well. I did not mention names. I did not mention names. Why? Because they are not happy with that. You need trouble. You know, once I went for a program, I will not mention the media station. Halfway the break, of course those days there was a break. I said, look here, I didn't come here to fight. I came here to talk facts. You know what he told me? No, that has to be there. I'm so happy that you don't have problems in the facing, but the singlist program, most of the time, fights. What for? Oh, we all need to get together and take this country forward. We have managed to get a party who has a plan for this country, and we are not willing to accept that. That's the biggest problem. We are not willing to accept that. And we feel, no, we must go back to the earlier system. That's what everybody's trying to do. If these people fail, they're not going. There's no way that they're going to fail. I feel they go for a second term as well. I'm saying it. I said it long before everybody else that they are going to walk away 2/3 majority. I said it. I said it in his program before the election. I said it. And I say it again, they must come. And I feel they must be protected as well, and they must be promoted.
Right.
That is for the sake of the country. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Shamil.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Gunasekera, but I just have to...
you can ask me a question.
No, I'm not going to ask you a question. I'm just going to make a quick comment. There are 4 pillars in a democracy.
I totally agree.
One is legislature, executive, judiciary, and the media. And
I totally agree with you.
The media plays its role based on how things are moving forward. Well, I'm not done yet. Now, I will give you a classic example, Mr. Gunasekera. We brought 3 weeks ago, I told you about the spare parts issue at the customs.
Yeah.
And then you said,
yes,
it has not been happening only today, Shami. It has been happening for a long time.
Correct.
Last week, Mr. Gunasekera, I was overseas. I was not on the show. I was coming back. And guess where these spare parts guys are going now? Through the red channel. You know why it is? Because that change has been done through the media. A lot of people criticized us.
I know.
Saying that we should not even bring this issue up because it's been happening for a long time.
No, I did not say it.
Because we brought
I did not say it.
Because we brought... No, because we spoke about it. Because we spoke about it. Today, those spare parts guys are not going through the green channel. They're going through the red channel. And that's thanks to
that is good. But I did not criticize the media in general.
Right. I'm just saying. I'll just leave that thought in a pin right now. Let the people decide.
I still have it in my pin. Okay, as a pin.
As I said,
Can I just add one more thing? This criticizing the media.
I did not criticize the media as well, but I felt
you said the media has to support the
media has to support. You know why? The good things. I tell you something.
No, that's not the
good things they do. Bring a separate program.
That's not the role.
Bring a program.
No, that's what I said. That's not the role of the media.
I know your role.
But Mr. Gunasekera, we respect you. We respect you. The role of the media is not to support the government.
I did not say that.
No, but you said you has to support. No, but that's okay.
What I say is bring those things to light as well. I do not support that.
I'm just giving you one classic example. 4 weeks ago, we spoke about the spare parts issue. Today, it's not happening. Right. I now move to...
So it's thanks to the government.
Kusum, Wijetilleke.
It is thanks to the government.
Because media brought it up. Anyway, Kusum, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the government is not living up to its own commitments. It's departed from its own manifesto. So I'm not sure what the media is expected to do, or me as an opposition party member, what I'm supposed to do, rather than to point out the fact that they're not meeting their own commitments and they've departed from the manifesto. The idea of having a huge majority, having this very popular president, is that it affords you political capital. Now the point is, what are you going to use this political capital for? What have they used this enormous political capital for in this last 3-4 months? Nothing has radically changed. As my colleague Nuwan pointed out, the tax structure needed to be completely reversed, and they haven't done that. They've given us roughly the same tax structure as Mr. Wijeweera. There is nothing new with trade liberalization. There is nothing new with FDIs. Does the budget have anything to attract foreign direct investments to tradable sectors? No. There is not even a distinction between investments into tradable sectors and investments into real estate, for example. Right? SOE reforms have hit a roadblock. Some have been reversed. Sri Lankan Airlines, for instance. Right? Governance structures, I don't see any big changes. Our submissions to the Human Rights Council were roughly the same as all the other previous governments. We didn't make any new commitments. They mentioned the PTA. There have been 3 arrests or 4 arrests made under the PTA as it is. The executive presidency, there's no conversation about abolishing it. The fact of the matter is that there were 2 alternatives in the last election, and the people chose the NPP. Now we have another election coming up, and if the people are satisfied, they will vote for the NPP. But I have a feeling that as this government goes along, and we still have a few more months left to the local government elections and the municipality elections, I have a feeling that you will see a more surprising turnout than people expect. And I think there's a lot of dissatisfaction. I think the government came in with a lot of power and a lot of popularity, and some of that's faded away. So time will tell. My only appeal to the people and to the audience is that to understand the problems we face cannot be solved with superficial performative policies. You can't park the government vehicles and have a big auction and say, you know, we have changed the political culture. The political culture has to change at the top. If the president is still holding the finance ministry position when it's a clear governance deficit, when the IMF has told us it's a governance deficit, when we've already now finished this IMF negotiation and the debt restructuring deals, why is the president still holding the Ministry of Finance? That's the governance deficit. So if you're not changing these things, then don't tell me that the political culture has changed, because I don't see that the political culture has changed. It's a slight improvement, and most of it is superficial. So on that, thank you for having me on Face the Nation.
Right. Thanks, Kusum. I'm glad you are more optimistic than you started off.
You forced me into that.
Right. Ruwan,
Yeah.
your final thoughts. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, that is the very first thing that I want to mention is that the very basic aspiration of the people when appointing our government was that is the economic stabilization as well as the socio-cultural as well as the socio-economic political stabilization of this country while changing the political culture which was coming throughout the last few decades. So that was the main concern of the people. So what what I am happy about this is that from the top to the bottom, not to the bottom actually, but from the top level layer. So the political leadership has given the political will to change this culture. They have given the examples, being an example, the President Anrukumar Sanayaka as well as the Prime Minister speaker. So just speaking to the kind of students who came to visit Parliament today, he was telling the students, that the 40 lakhs were spent by the previous speaker for 1 month for fuel, but he has spent only 1,100,000 rupees around for fuel, because that is how that examples has been given. And the other thing is that the nepotism, cronyism, as well as the inefficient public finance management, all these things from the government perspective, that is what we can do at the beginning. So that has been done. Have you ever heard the appointment of the political related appointments to the government positions or somewhere? I think that's not, because we have not done that. We have not forced. So that is even these very few months that we were working in our areas, the Monaragal, we could earn a large sum of money as far as the previous system was concerned. But the thing is that we have changed. We are not doing that. The public finance, the people's money is spent to the last rupee for the people. So that is what we have given. So as far as the development, so this is actually our budget has not come yet. Right, the budget is to be implemented from April onwards. So when that is implemented, our programs, our development projects, and everything will come to the ground. So then that the people can understand how we are working in the ground and all those things. Even now, Alimanka sole production factory and various kinds of government SOEs we have resumed that. And you know that yesterday or day before, I can't exactly tell. The president himself said that 11 Japanese projects and 76 Chinese projects which have been halted due to various kinds of effects of the previous governments have been restarted. So then more than 80 projects will have been started, and the benefits of those projects will have been given to the people of this country. As well as, you know that the former president, Maithripala Sirisena, that is 1 million rupees, have been, that is those things have ever happened. Those kind of things? The presidents are coming and paying some kind of compensations? Not. So then that kind of culture is slowly but steadily we have been introduced into the system. So that is the thing that we have to tell for the people.
Right. Thanks a lot, Ruwan Wijeweera. Just a quick clarification.
Yeah.
The former president came and gave that 1 million rupees not because of the NPP.
Yeah.
He did it because of a court order.
The court orders, how do the court orders come? Why?
Yeah. No, but you can't.
No, I'm not telling.
That's not right. Because just for
clarity's
sake, it's not because of the NPP he came and paid that 1 million. Just to clarify. Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Ruwan Wijeweera, Member of Parliament from the National People's Party.
One half minute.
Yeah.
Right. So what I want to tell the common people of this country is that the mandate has been given for us for the 5 years. So little by little, so steadily. So what we want to tell the people is that we will do this. We will deliver what you, depending on your expectations and aspirations. Clearly, that is the thing we all have to do. And what I want to tell you all is that, so let's get together. Let's get together as a nation. This is this chance. This opportunity must be utilized actually. So that is why what I invite. Yeah. So let's do this as a team.
Yeah,
let's do this as a team.
Yeah. Thanks, Ruwan. But we as the media is very independent. Don't expect for us to toe the line of the government. Anyway, thanks, Ruwan Wijeweera, Member of Parliament. Any government. Ruwan Wijeweera, thank you very much, Member of Parliament from the NPP. Ruwan, very quickly, very happy that you came on the show tonight. Nice to have new faces of the NPP and for the people to even understand who their public representatives are and who these 159 members are. Sure. So very nice to have you, Ruwan, on the show, and we're looking forward to having you in future shows as well. Sure. Nilesh will be troubling you as the months go. Thanks a lot, Kusum Wijetilleke from the SJB, Mr. Kesarralal Gunasekera, former Member of Parliament, and Nuwan Bopage from the People's Struggle Alliance. The good thing is that we can all agree is Kusum is not the man who came into the show tonight and is leaving off differently.
One tongue-in-cheek comment that Tamil is still running away.
Thanks a lot, Shrihal. Thanks a lot, Nilesh, for joining us this evening. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I know despite your demanding schedules for being here is a great service to the public to understand what they really need to know from their public representatives. I leave you tonight with a quote, as I always do. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Take care and good night.